No residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts. Plus, now you can also take $100 off air duct cleaning and breathe cleaner air. Visit ZeroResColumbia.com.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Visit CordellCordell.com.
1201 Main Street, Columbia.
Ad paid for by Adaptive Health.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
I don't care how old or young you are. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. With Nugenix Total T2, the brand new testosterone and nitric oxide boosting formula, I'm keeping up with the kids and finally feeling like my old self again. Now, I've got enough in the tank for whatever life throws my way.
Text STREAK to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. STREAK to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free. It's the Game Network Traffic Report from the Schroeder's Towing Traffic Center. Broken down and need a tow or even free signage for your lot? Dial pound 250 and use keyword tow truck today.
All right, one last look at your traffic and weather for your ride in on this Monday morning. A couple accidents to report, one at Farrow Road near Beckham Drive, another one at Laurel Street and Two Notch, and finally one at Highway 21 at Killian Road. Today, sunny with a high of 80. Tomorrow, a little bit warmer, high of 83, and then 88 for your Wednesday. That's your traffic and weather for your ride in on this Monday morning here on The Game.
Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The Extra Point with Tyler Head and Jack Veltri.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Oh, 9 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you here on The Game. I am in studio here in Columbia. Jack Veltri still on the scene in Baton Rouge for, well, quite frankly, Jack, what wasn't a fun weekend. And you know what? I felt bad for you when the game got postponed on Friday because your plan was to explore a little bit down in New Orleans on Saturday. Did you get an opportunity to still do that?
No. The weather wrecked that plan almost immediately. And honestly, that's okay. It's really not the end of the world. So my plan initially, for those who missed it, was being in Baton Rouge this weekend. Friday's game was going to be at 7:30, and Saturday would be a night game. So figured, okay, I have a lot of time to do whatever. Saturday morning, I'm going to make the hour drive to New Orleans from Baton Rouge. Spend some time out there, get some food, hang out, see the sights, all that. Yeah, but once I landed on Friday, I was like, yeah, this is not happening because it was pouring outside. The game had already gotten pushed back to Saturday, and it was a doubleheader, so that essentially screwed up the plan. But on the bright side, while I did not go to New Orleans, I still got beignets. There was a local small business spot here in Baton Rouge that makes beignets, like 3 beignets for $4, which was an absolutely incredible deal. I don't think I've had a meal that cheap in forever, so that was nice. But overall, man, a good time out here. I'm ready to get home for sure. My flight doesn't leave for another few hours, but no kidding. It was a really, really rough weekend for the baseball team.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack from this, not only from what happened this weekend, but the implications going forward. We'll get to all that right after our Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up.
Time to get hyped. Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm, sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803 all nines. It is funny playing the Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up when we have to talk about Gamecock baseball because there's positive connotations to Sandstorm being played, but Jack, there was nothing positive from this weekend. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. You had some rough outings on the mound. The offense was non-existent for most of the weekend. Then errors plagued you on Sunday for game number 3. Just an all-around rough weekend, no matter how you slice it.
It was hard to watch, man, especially yesterday. Game 3 was perhaps I think it was the worst game South Carolina's played all season. And yeah, this weekend was just not a good one on any front. I will say, first time going to the box at Alec Box Stadium out in Baton Rouge, LSU's ballpark. Very nice press box. The fans showed up in droves, and yeah, it's definitely one of the better atmospheres in the SEC. I said, that said, look, South Carolina just got outplayed from start to finish and just did not play well at all. We could really start with any phase of the game because all three, offense, pitching, and defense, were just, quite frankly, just not good at all this weekend.
Some numbers from the weekend when it comes to the offense, specifically only, 15 total hits on the weekend, 6, 4, and 5 across 3 games, 4 of 35 in total with runners on, 3 of 18 with runners in scoring position, 4 of 31 with 2 outs, and 33 total strikeouts on the weekend, 11 in each game. Again, there's nothing, there's no positive you can pull out of any of that.
And you scored 4 runs the entire week. That includes Tuesday's game. And you got shut out twice this week. Like, it's nothing new with the offense because they're so inconsistent. Like last week against Kentucky, they scored 24 runs, and it's like, oh man, they're gonna turn around here. This is their time, and then bam, they go right back to getting shut out against the Citadel, and then it just carried over into this week. And they actually got off to a good start. Like in that first inning of game 1, they get the back-to-back doubles with 2 outs. They score a run. You're like, all right, like maybe South Carolina's gonna finally get back on track here. But yeah, once LSU got a lead in these games, South Carolina just kind of looked dead. There were times where it just really looked uncompetitive out there. Like when you get to like the 8th, 9th inning, you're kind of just like, all right, let's just get this game over with because you're already down by 5+ runs. And yeah, some of the at-bats just did not look good, in my opinion. Far too many strikeouts. You know, they were putting the ball in play at times, and there were some hard hit balls, but overall, man, you're just not going to win games with this offense right now. You have your best hitter is hitting 280 this season. The rest of the guys are like somewhere in the mid to low 200s. And batting average, I don't think is the end all be all because I think there's other stats that matter just as much. Like what's your on base percentage? What's your slugging? You know, your OPS, like home runs, RBIs, you know, how do you do with runners in scoring position? But this team top to bottom. And I thought it was very interesting, you know, talking to Monty Lee yesterday, he kind of mentioned like they just don't have a guy in the lineup right now that's putting together good at-bats. Like they can't count on one specific guy. There's not an Ethan Petrie on this team to carry the lineup or Nathan Hall to carry the lineup when things are going bad. And look, when most of the starters are just not getting the job done, that's going to lead to the weekend you had here.
Yeah, I feel like as this season's gone along, there have been pockets of time like, hey, you know, Craddock got off to a really good start to start the season. Lee Croy's had his moments, certainly early in the season. You know, Lizama has played well as of late, but it's never been somebody that, like you said, or like Monty Lee said yesterday, that you consistently look at saying, hey, when nothing's going right, you can look towards Tyler Bach or you can look towards Patrick Evans or whoever, like, hey, this is going to be the guy that's going to help us get out of whatever this funk is we're having offensively. And I think that was highlighted in game number 2 on Saturday, where after Bach does have the home run there in the top of the first inning to give you once again a 1-0 lead, 21 straight batters go down before you get your next hit in the bottom or the top of the 8th inning.
That's just inexcusable. There are far too many stretches. Even Sunday, there was a stretch like that where South Carolina got one hit in like the middle innings, and then they just did not get another hit until later on. You are just not winning games with this offense right now. And it didn't help as well that the pitching wasn't great, and then the defense was atrocious yesterday. I mean, the pitching, look, I think at this point, the pitching has definitely been your strength this year, and it's not really saying much right now, but they didn't give you much of a chance with Amp getting rocked in the first 2 innings on Saturday, and then, Brandon Stone gives up 4 runs, and Alex Valentine gives up 3 runs, and both those guys don't make it past the 5th inning. Phillips at least pitched 6 innings, so that's the benefit there. And even your bullpen got hit around a little bit. The pitching, I think, is definitely not – I think the pitching's good enough to be okay moving forward. They've given you enough every weekend. But, man, the defense. Watching some of those sequences play out yesterday, Tyler, was like watching a Little League team out there. Like, it was just really mind-boggling, some of the mistakes that were being made in the field.
I loved your question to Monty after the game yesterday. Have you ever seen a bunt go for a double? And when he's like, in my 25 years of coaching, that's a first. But again, that's just kind of a microcosm for what this year has been for this team.
I've only watched a bunt double maybe like once on TV, and that just does not happen. The way it happened was just so befuddling, because it's like it's a drag bunt heading towards between the first and second baseman. And, the fact, I mean, it was kind of heading towards Logan Sutter's direction, so I don't know why he just wasn't. He just positioned himself so awkwardly on the play, and then he takes one step to his left instead of taking a step to his right, and that screwed everything up, and then he falls to the ground, and the ball gets by him to get into, right field there. But I don't even think that was that one was bad. But I don't think it was the worst one, because you had, Talmadge LeCroy making that god-awful throw into center field on a throw down to second that just did not hold on to the ball there. Like, I get it. You're giving great effort. Like, the last-ditch sidearm throw on the run, that's great. But it feels like every weekend we're seeing at least one ball go into the outfield. And more times than not, that guy is going to make it to third base there. Mm-hmm. Now, the ball hit to Patrick Evans out in right field, the single that went on the ground. I really don't know what happened there. It's hard to explain, and it's hard to ask, like, what the heck happened when you're trying to figure it out. It's just these things are just it's unexplainable how it happens.
That's a classic example, and look, as somebody that played in the outfield myself, that is focusing on your next task before you have the ball in your hands, where you're already thinking about the throw you're about to make before you've actually picked the ball up. Like, that's how I looked at that situation, is like he was one step further ahead than he needed to be at that point in time, because he wasn't focused on getting the ball, rolls to the wall. Obviously, again, just one of many issues they had on the entire weekend. It's just, this team's just not fun to watch, man. And it's been that way for a while, but I think yesterday was the perfect encapsulation of that, between the pitching, between the lack of offense, and between on the airs. Like, there's just no joy in watching this team play baseball.
Yeah, the bigger picture is that they're definitely done with the postseason now as an at-large. That's not happening. The only way they're getting there is going to the SEC tournament and winning 5 games in 6 days.
This team can't do that.
That's not happening. It's not happening.
And Jack,
I don't even know if, honestly, man, I don't think any team can do that. I just think that is such a hard feat to do, because you play 4 games at most, sometimes you'll play 2 midweek games a week. So you'll play 5 games at most in a week, but you're never playing 5 games in a row. That just does not happen. And I just don't think South Carolina has the pitching. They also just don't have the bats to make it through a single game. That's the problem, is that they're probably going to go one and done when they get to Hoover, just because the offense, it's a wild card, man. Sometimes they can go out here, and it's amazing this team a few weeks ago was able to put up 6 or 7 runs against one of the top pitchers in college baseball. And then a few weeks later, it's like, they're allergic to scoring runs. It's wild how inconsistent they are. Because I do think there are some good hitters on this team, but none of them have really lived up to any of the billing that you expected when they came here. And I think a lot of that does have to do with the quality of pitching they're facing. Let's be honest. This is something I asked Monty about, and this is something I've wrote about before. They have a lineup that consists of mainly guys that come from JUCO or mid-major schools. That's fine, but you don't have enough SEC quality bats. Those guys are not used to facing this type of pitching, and it's to the point in the year where it's like there's just no time to make these sort of changes that are going to improve the offense overall.
Yeah, by the way, the only true winning streak they've gone on this year was a 5-game winning streak earlier on this year between beating USC, Upstate, Charleston Southern, and Princeton. But that obviously pales in comparison to what you have to go through in Hoover in a couple weeks. And again, this team's just not capable of doing that. Could they win a game? Sure. Could they win 2 games? Maybe. But you get past that, it's over with. Like we're already looking towards, and we're going to get to this a little bit later in the hour, where we're going to start breaking down these head coaching candidates, because we're going to be making this hire here coming up in a couple weeks, and I think it's time to really start diving into who some of these names are and who we need to know as possible next head coaches for South Carolina baseball. But coming up next, we're going to get into more of what happened this past weekend. Also hear from what Monty Lee had to say after the game as well. It is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri with you on your Monday on The Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Here at The Game, we're expanding our local lineup. Starting on Monday, May 11th at 6 p.m., we debut Connecting Carolinas with Scott Hamilton. Presented by FanStream Sports. From 6 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, right here on The Game. You could also ask Scott if he can still do that backflip on ice skates.
Most of us can't imagine watching figure skating without Scott Hamilton being a part of it.
What's that? Oh, it's not that Scott Hamilton. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Tyler Ed here for our friends over at Twin Peaks. It was a loaded weekend of sports action between the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, tons of Major League Baseball action, of course, college baseball on as well. And there was only one place taking all that great action. That's our friends over at Twin Peaks. As the professional playoffs move into their second rounds, you know the ultimate destination for all that great action is over at Twin Peaks. So no matter if it's today, tomorrow, or this weekend, get down to the Vista, grab yourself a Barstool, order some delicious scratch-made food and a 29-degree draft beer to wash it all down and take in all that great sports action with our friends over at the Lodge. Twin Peaks, 600 Gervais Street, right down the street in the Vista. Eats, drinks, and, of course, scenic views.
At Target, finding something for every kind of mom and every side of mom just got easier. Does she love fashion? Take 20% off select women's clothing and accessories and find a dress she'll love to wear. Is she into the outdoors? Freshen up her favorite spot with up to 40% off planters, pillows, and poofs. Or keep it classic, fresh tulips for just $12 and a dossier fragrance trio for $32. Whatever mom is into, we've got it. Celebrate mom her way, only at Target. Restrictions apply.
Hallmark Cards presents Mother's Day at Walgreens. Celebrate every mother figure in your life with a Hallmark card at Walgreens. Show how much she means to you and how deeply she's loved. A Hallmark card is the perfect way to say thank you for all she does. Don't forget, Mother's Day is Sunday, May 10th. Visit Walgreens today to find the perfect Hallmark Mother's Day card and make her feel truly special. Mother's Day means Hallmark cards at Walgreens.
Hey, this is Terry Ford. Got a little story time for you. If you're a business or property owner and you're needing to deter any unwanted cars from parking in your parking lots, definitely call Schroeder's Towing. They'll provide signage for your business completely free of charge. Anytime a vehicle is parked in your lot that shouldn't be, Schroeder's Towing will be there to make sure your lot stays open for your employees, customers, and tenants. Trust me, I know firsthand what happens when you ignore Schroeder's Towing signage. Just go online at schroederstowing.net.
Just dial pound 250 and use the keyword tow truck.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
When you're looking for an attorney, you don't need to look far for legal support you can trust. I'm DeWanna Looper.
And I'm Joe Weidman.
We're not just the voices you hear, we're the faces you'll see if you come in. At Atkins Law, we believe you deserve a team that listens when you're in need. We're small on purpose, local by design, and serve with compassion.
Whether you've been hurt on the job or in a car wreck, recovery comes first. We'll handle the rest.
Remember, who you hire matters, so hire a team that cares. Check us out at hollyatkinslaw.com.
Vista Roofing, your local CertainTeed Select Shingle Master. Looking for a roof that's built to last? Trust the certified experts at Vista Roofing for professional installation, top-tier materials, and peace of mind backed by industry-leading warranties. From repairs to full replacements, Vista Roofing delivers durable results and exceptional service. Call now or visit VistaRoofingINC.com to schedule your free estimate. Vista Roofing, raising the standard one shingle at a time. Sponsored by Woodman Life, protecting hardworking families with life insurance.
Woodman Life believes every hardworking American deserves to leave a legacy. Life insurance helps protect the people you love and the future you've worked hard to build, so your story lives on. Get your quote at woodmanlife.org. Woodman Life is the brand name for Women of the World Life Insurance Society in Omaha, Nebraska. Ad number A0136.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central. On the Game Network, the 107.5, the Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Well, look, I didn't feel like our demeanor this weekend was great. Things just did not go our way in any phase of the game. And when you're not in the game, it's really hard to stay upbeat and enthusiastic in the dugout, because, look, these guys care. And if they're not playing good and they're not playing well, they're going to be disappointed in themselves. So it's tough. But on the other hand, it's our job as coaches and the responsibility of players. We just got to keep showing up and playing. And if you do that, if you have that mindset, eventually you will break through and start playing better baseball.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Felcher along with you here on your Monday on the Game, recapping what was a brutal weekend for South Carolina as they go down to Baton Rouge and get swept by a scuffling LSU team that was coming in that had lost their last 9 conference games in a row, got themselves back on track against South Carolina. You heard Monty Lee talking there about the demeanor on the weekend, that's something we've given him and this team a lot of credit for in the little over almost 2 months now since he's taken over for Paul Maneri, is this team always seemed like they had a really good attitude and a really good energy about them, even when they weren't winning games. And that's the first time we've heard Monty Lee kind of acknowledge, like, hey, the demeanor wasn't where we wanted it to be this past weekend. And not surprising, because you get towards the end of the year, you don't really feel like you're playing for anything. Guys start to not lose interest, maybe is not the right word there, but the motivation quite isn't there, quite isn't the same as what it was.
And even the day before that, I remember him mentioning to me after, I think it was game 1, or no, it was game 2 of the doubleheader. And he tells me, like, yeah, I talked to them in between games. This was about the offense struggling and trying to figure that out. He talked to them in between games, trying to, rally them up, give them a message to try and see if things would change heading into game 2 offensively. And then he was like, well, it didn't work. So that's kind of where things are at right now, where I feel like, look, Monty is definitely doing what he can to get the most out of these guys. It was always going to be a tough situation to come into and for a coach to have success. But I think we're at the point now where it's like, yeah, like what you try, you can do what you want, but the team is just what it is. And when things go bad, it's tough for, some guys to bounce back and, continue the fight, right? It's tough to stay motivated when you're down 7-0 in the late innings. Like, especially when it's a getaway day, you want to get home, you got other things you want to do. Like, that's kind of where we're at in the season, I feel like. And look, we're going to see what this team looks like over the final 7 games here. It won't tell us much in terms of the larger picture, other than, like, have they quit? That's the main thing here moving forward.
Well, and you weren't here on Friday. You were on a plane when I was talking about this. But my biggest thing going into the weekend was don't be the get-right series, right? Because, again, LSU had gotten swept in their past 3 SEC outings. So you had a team that was struggling coming in. And I like you said, there was a good crowd there at Alex Box Stadium, but it probably wasn't as raucous as it had been, like last year when that team was on its way to its, second national championship in 3 years. So you had a team that you could have taken advantage of. And I broke down, obviously they're struggling when it came to pitching with wild pitches and trouble finding the zone, the errors they were making themselves. So, expecting Carolina to go in there and maybe get a sweep themselves was maybe a little bit of a tough ask, but winning the series certainly wasn't outside the realm of possibility. And you went out there and got swept. Again, you got 4 runs on the entire weekend. You barely managed to get 5 hits a game. You just looked like the worst version of yourself. And look, I don't think this is suddenly going to change LSU's season, because again, we're so deep into it and they were behind Carolina going into the weekend anyway, but they can feel good about themselves coming out of this weekend, much like Mississippi State did a couple weekends ago, where they had come in and gotten after getting swept in their past 2 series, and they proceeded to win the next 5 games after that. So you've unfortunately become the get-right game for teams in the SEC.
Now, this brings up a question I asked Monty yesterday. What's the bigger concern right now? The offense, the defense? Heck, you can even include the pitching if you really want to. And his answer is kind of interesting if you want to go ahead and play that.
Yep, here's Monty Lee answering that question yesterday.
Look, you got to bring pitching and defense to the field every day. If you want to be competitive and be in the game for 9 innings, you got to pitch and play defense. And we've got to do a better job of playing defense. The offense is the offense. I think, on the offensive side of things, we just got to get some guys swinging the bat better. We've got to get some guys, to catch fire. And, we just don't have that right now. We don't have anybody in our lineup that I would say, man, he's really putting together a lot of really good at-bats. It's here or there. We've got a few guys that are doing a pretty good job of being competitive, but all in all, we don't have enough guys 1 through 9 in the lineup that are on fire, that are putting together 2, 3, 4 quality at-bats in the game. And, that needs to change. That's going to have to change. And, you can't make it happen as a coach. You just got to keep encouraging them and coaching them and just doing. I'm going to pull out all stops. I told them before the game today, I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to stop coaching you. I'm going to keep pounding it every day, doing my very best as their leader. But they got to do it too. Whatever's important to me has got to become important to them if we're going to find a way to turn this thing around and play better baseball. And we got to find something to play for. That's the big thing too. We got to find something to play for right now.
And, there's something to be said that if you had a really, really dominant offense and terrible pitching, saying, okay, well, you're going to have to win games, 9-8 and stuff like that. Or if you had really dominant pitching and bad offense, saying, okay, if we can find a way to scratch across 2 to 3 runs a game, we'll be all right. But you're just not good enough at either one to make that argument either way. And then the defense is bad too. Again, that's something we haven't talked about as much throughout this year, but I haven't looked at the updated numbers after this weekend, but you were 3rd worst in the SEC in errors going into the weekend, and I imagine that didn't get any better considering the errors from yesterday. So you just struggled in all 3 facets of the game. When you do that, guess what? You're not going to win games.
I'm pulling it up right now to see where they are defensively. 59 errors is still third worst in the SEC. LSU has 60. Bama has 68. But yeah, the real, it's either look at the errors, and again, at one point it's kind of like, okay, the errors were really far worse under Maneri, but now it's kind of evened out a little bit to where South Carolina is still making a lot of the same mistakes regardless of who the coach is. So the errors on a whole are bad, but you got to look at that batting average, man. You're hitting 240 in conference play. And yeah, you got 62 home runs. You've eclipsed your home run total from last year. You're not as bad from a power standpoint, even though you displayed 0 power this weekend. But the problem is, man, is that you just have the worst overall offense in the SEC. I mean, you're hitting, it's insane. There's like a almost 20-point difference between South Carolina and the next worst offense in SEC play alone. The Gamecocks are hitting 205. They are 5 points above the Mendoza line, which essentially means you have to hit 200 or better. Anything below that is just not good. But yeah, man, hitting 205 in conference play that's bad. That's really, really bad.
Well, and to go back over the numbers situationally from the weekend, 435 with the runners on, 3 of 18 with runners in scoring position, of 4 and 31 with 2 outs. And that's something we talked about a little bit more earlier in the season, with the Maneri still at the helm, that, hey, this situational hitting is just god-awful. We've gotten away from talking about it as much in the past couple of weeks, but once again, it rears its ugly head this weekend, where even when you do have guys on in situations where you can drive runners in, you're just not executing at all. And again, that's how you end up with 4 runs over the course of 27 innings.
Yeah. So both are, and don't get me wrong, I think both are very concerning. Like, the defense, some of the errors they make is just mind-boggling. But at the same time, I think the offense scoring just 4 runs in 4 games after scoring 24 in a weekend against Kentucky, it just kind of sums up the year, man. It does. It's just there's no consistency at all. And, yeah, they just don't have the hitting right now to win games. Like, you're going to lose games with the defensive mistakes you make, but you need to score runs, and South Carolina does not give itself a fighting chance when you have an offense like this.
We're officially in the month of May. By the way, happy May the 4th be with you. I forgot to mention that at the top of the show for those that recognize that day. Tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, by the way. That sneaks up on you. But now that we're in the month of May, we are roughly, say, a month away from making a hire for head coach. It's time to really start taking a look at these head coaching candidates, and we're going to put them head-to-head with each other. We're going to start off with Monty Lee versus Skylar Meade coming up next. Take a look at this and who moves on to tomorrow's challenger as we continue on with the Extra Point. It is Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you on your Monday here on The Game.
Everybody loves streaming till you have to pay for it. Just download the 107.5 The Game app and stream us for free.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
I was feeling the same way. After 40, the body has less testosterone, and men lose their edge. That's why I take Nugenix Total T2.
That's the testosterone booster, right?
Yes, but Total T2 is their brand new formula that skyrockets nitric oxide levels in as little as 3 hours. Since I started taking it, I've been lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. My energy is way up, and it even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles?
Yep, just send a text.
Text HIM to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2, the next generation testosterone booster. Text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text HIM to 215-215. That's HIM to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Paid for by Adaptive Health.
Spring cleaning starts with Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Mention 107.5 The Game, get 3 rooms cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No one cleans like Zerorez. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just carpets that stay cleaner longer. Take $100 off air duct cleaning for a limited time. Air ducts circulate the air you breathe, and dust can end up right back on your floor, so don't wait. May appointments are filling up very fast. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com to book today.
We know what it's like when you're injured. You hurt, you can't work, you can't pay your bills, and the insurance company won't return your calls. I'm Jason Reynolds. At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we're here for you when things go bad. We're local, resourceful, and have a proven record of success.
I'm Stephen Samuels. Our team is big enough to handle any case and small enough to care about each one.
We get South Carolina because we're true South Carolina. Samuels Reynolds. True injuries, true lawyers. 803-779-4000.
Make your dream pool a reality this summer with Aquarian Pools of Columbia. Specializing in residential and commercial pool construction, Aquarian Pools of Columbia offer complimentary design services that bring your vision to life. Whether you need a new backyard oasis or your old pool needs a renovation, their expert builders are ready to deliver just in time for summer. With 54 years in business, if you can dream it, they can build it. Visit them online at aquarianpools.com or call 803-732-3636 today.
The
Colonial Life Charity Classic is coming to the Wood Creek Club right here in Columbia, May 14th through the 17th. This is your chance to watch the next generation of PGA Tour stars up close. Before Justin Thomas and Scottie Scheffler were household names, they were right here on the Korn Ferry Tour. This is where the journey begins. Every shot bringing them closer to the PGA Tour. Tomorrow's champions are teeing it up today. Get your tickets now for the Colonial Life Charity Classic.
Mosquitoes are the pests you feel.
Termites are the ones you usually don't until the damage is done.
Modern Exterminating helps protect your home from both with mosquito reduction and termite monitoring solutions.
So whether you're worried about your yard, your home, or both, now's the time to act.
Visit pestfreesc.com today.
Since 1955, locally owned Modern Exterminating has protected South Carolina homes.
Modern Exterminating, protection that feels simple.
Visit pestfreesc.com.
Looking for a truck dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, your truck headquarters, proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're after a brand new Silverado, a tough pre-owned truck, or expert service, you'll find it all right here with a huge selection and the best truck deals around. There's no better place to shop. Visit HerndonChevy.com or stop by today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile.
Powered by Integrated Media, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass, shepherdsglass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia, The Game TV, sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central on the Game Network, the 107.5 The Game app, and at the Game TV radio on YouTube.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry along with you here on your Monday on the Game, talking all things Gamecock baseball. Get to some texts coming up a little bit later on in the hour, but we are fast approaching the time to make a decision on who the next head coach for South Carolina baseball is going to be. Of course, Monty Lee is a name that when he took over as the interim head coach, we knew was going to be somewhere within the discussion. In fact, last week, we asked a poll question on our 107.5 The Game Twitter page. Should Monty Lee be considered for the full-time head coaching job? At the time, 45% of the people that voted on that did say yes. That was obviously prior to this weekend where South Carolina got swept. And, Jack, I feel like whatever semblance of hope of Monty Lee getting this job, I think went out the window this past week, and you just haven't seen enough, right? And again, can you give him the courtesy of giving him an interview to thank him for what he did? Absolutely. I just don't think at this point he's a serious, strong contender to get this job.
No, there are a lot of other candidates you need to be calling before Monty. He deserves an interview and deserves to go through the process. I think he has earned that. And look, maybe he does have a great interview and all that, but I just don't think, as well respected and appreciated as he is here at South Carolina. And look, you want a guy that loves South Carolina? Monty Lee it fits that billing to a T. He loves being here at South Carolina and has spoken publicly about wanting this job. But South Carolina, if they're serious about getting back to the top of college baseball, you got to hire the best possible candidate. And look, Monty's had a chance to win this job over with being the interim here, and it's been a tough spot, right? I don't think a lot of coaches would do well with what he's working with right now. But the fact of the matter is that the hitting has just been it's just been awful this year. I mean, you're hitting 205 in conference play. Your defense has been abysmal. For those reasons alone, I just don't think you can give him the job right now.
Yeah.
Especially given his track record overall of not having success. He's never made, he did not make it to a super regional at Clemson. So I think that should, tell you all you need to know.
Yeah. And look, if the Maneri thing happened, let's say after this past weekend, let's say Maneri hung around, they got swept by LSU, and that was the end. And then Monty Lee jumps in for the final two series of the regular season and coaches in the SEC tournament. That's not a long enough runway, I feel like, to get a true gauge of how he would have been leading this team. But again, this has been a month and a half now. We've seen plenty. Obviously, the team very much wanted to play for him. You saw the difference in energy the second Maneri left when it came to Monty Lee taking over, but that's not been enough. Again, Monty Lee's a great guy. Monty Lee loves being here at South Carolina. We haven't seen enough to justify saying, yeah, I think he should be the one getting this job. So as we get into deciding who the next head coach is going to be, we're going to go a little bit head-to-head bracket style or head-to-head knockout style here over the next couple days with these candidates, where I'm going to go off of your hot board that you put up right after right after Paul Maneri left, and we're going to go through these candidates, compare them head-to-head, and see who comes out in the end as who we feel like is our best candidate for this job. Now, we're going to put Monty Lee in to begin with, because that's our starting point for our current coach right now, and he's going to go head-to-head with today's matchup, that being Skylar Meade, the former pitching coach for South Carolina from 2018 to 2021, current head coach of the Troy Trojans, who did make a regional back in 2023. And right now, according to Baseball America, still have a shot at getting in. They are in the next 4 out category. D1 Baseball does not have them anywhere in their field of 64 projections. Likely going to have to win maybe the Sunbelt tournament coming up here in a couple weeks to get in, but still at least somewhat in the conversation to make the postseason.
We're going to run into this discussion with a few guys along the way. If they didn't have ties to South Carolina, are you even considering hiring them? Right?
Right.
He was the pitching coach here from 18 to 21, had a lot of success, developed some really good pitchers along the way, for sure. I mean, there's a few guys in the pros right now that are doing well. I think he would be a much better candidate for the job 2 years ago, when Troy was making the postseason, winning 40 games, they won 40 games in 23, 37 in 24, 39 last year. This year, like you said, they're going to probably have to win the Sun Belt to make it to the tournament. They're 23 and 25 in the year, though they are 13-11 in conference play. I just don't think he is the ideal hire for you right now, just because I think Troy's kind of fallen down to earth a little bit. I'm not saying I would hire Monty, but I would pick Monty over Skylar Meade right now.
You bring up a really good point, and like you said, we're going to get to this with a lot of these guys as we break down these matchups head-to-head over the next week or so, is if they weren't connected to South Carolina, being a former player or a former assistant coach, how attractive would that person be? And again, for Skylar Meade, yeah, they made one regional back in 2023. Not a whole lot of other things to write home about that, past that. Now, again, he's been in the college baseball game for a while, was an assistant in Michigan State when it came to pitching, Middle Tennessee, going all the way back to his time at Eastern Illinois a little over 15 years ago. So he's been around, high-ish level college baseball for a while, and that is something that is a positive on his resume compared to some other people we'll get to a little bit later on this list. But I don't see enough for him that stands out to me that says, okay, I think this is a guy, because here's the thing, right? This hire is somebody, and I know that Carolina hasn't been there in 15 years. This is supposed to be the person that gets them back to the highest level of college baseball, right? Playing for Omaha every single year, being on the short list for teams that you talk about as national championship favorites on a year-in, year-out basis. Because let's go back to a couple years ago. The reason you fired Mark Kingston was because this team was good, but they weren't great, right? They were making the postseason at a fairly decent clip. They'd even made the Super Regional in his next to last season, down there in Gainesville, but you weren't good enough to be in that final 8 every single year playing for the national champion or competing for the national championship and trying to, win the whole thing. That's why you made the move. That's why he brought in Paul Maneri, because, hey, he's a guy that's been there and done that before. He's a former national champion. He'll get South Carolina back to the promised land and obviously win the complete opposite direction. So I don't look at Skylar Meade based on what I've seen so far and say, yes, I feel like that guy can definitely do that. So to your point, I feel like for this matchup, I'd probably lean towards Monty Lee. Again, over the stretch of his entire head coaching career, he's made 8 regionals, 1 super, he's never been to Omaha. That's not that much more impressive, but in terms of proof of concept, I would probably lean towards him if we're going to go head-to-head with this.
And he has the connections in this state with recruiting and everything. I'm sure Skylar has some from his time here, but Monty is ingrained in this state. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty easy pick for Monty, but neither of these guys I would probably hire as the head coach. That's again, like you said, Tyler, to kind of go off your point, you need to hire somebody that is going to get you there. And that needs to probably be someone. This will probably sound a little hypocritical because that's what I thought they were getting with Paul when they hired him, a proven winner. But obviously you need a guy that is doing it currently. That would probably be the biggest difference moving forward.
Yeah, now I don't think Monty Lee is going to last very deep into this, but for today, again, because I just don't have anything that stands out about what Skylar Meade has done so far. And look, here's the thing. Maybe he runs through the Sun Belt tournament and maybe he gets this team to Troy, and my attitude can change, in a month's time or something like that. But I just, up to this point, I haven't seen enough to where I think, okay, yes, that guy is definitely, to me, it's got to be a slam dunk, right? It's got to be a slam dunk. Definitely that guy is better than the other option to move on here. So I think we're going to advance on Monty Lee to tomorrow.
Yes, I would agree with you on that.
So Monty Lee will stand to our next challenger. We'll dig into that coming up tomorrow morning, and we'll do this each and every day as we ultimately figure out who we think the best head coaching candidate for this job is going to be. And there'll probably be more names that'll pop up here over the next couple of weeks that we'll add into this mix as well. We'll come back, wrap up the hour, get some of your thoughts on the Firehouse Subs text line at 803-404-6100 as we continue the baseball conversation on your Monday here on The Game.
Wow, what a play. The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
This is Elijah Campbell from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gem everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, and your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There is no catch. We know times are tough, but we would love to help you out and your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
Make this make sense. Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, a whole list of players all dealing with something in the playoffs. Players are playing fewer games, fewer minutes. It's not as physical as it used to be, and they still break down like it's the regular season. So what's going on here? They're keeping players out of games in the regular season, and they're still getting hurt in the playoffs. I'm John Lund.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. In a world in need of a hero, one man rises to the challenge in style. He is...
just driving the kids to soccer practice.
Make every day feel epic in the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid with up to an EPA-estimated 619 miles of range on select trims, advanced tech, and class-leading interior space. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
And hey, come on, no cleats on the seats.
Save $2 when you buy 2 cans of Superior Products Coverall Tire Dressing. Plus, get 4 times O-Rewards points now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
On top of home and auto, Progressive protects your boat, RV, and motorcycle so you can explore the unknown.
Actually, we just take the RV to the same campground every year.
Well, maybe you can catch your own dinner on your boat.
Oh, we can actually get pizza delivered there from this brick oven place we love.
Will you at least try a new topping?
Honestly, probably not. We kind of have a go-to order.
Fine. Just bundle home or auto insurance with your outdoor vehicles with Progressive and stay protected when you go, I guess, where you've gone before. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a hospitality manager at a 5-star hotel.
So I just checked into room 318, but someone was in there.
Room 318. Oh, you were supposed to be booked in 813, which is now booked.
So what do we do?
How about rock, paper, scissors for who gets the bid?
This is time for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feel.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance. The Extra Point.
And the kick is good!
With Tyler Head and Jack Beltry from Gamecock Central. On the Game Network, the 107.5, the Game app, and the Game TV radio on YouTube.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltry wrapping up hour number 1 here on your Monday on the Game. While Gamecock baseball may not be playing for a whole lot right now, you can still win some money with the handful of games they have left as the Crescent Construction Grand Slam contest does roll on. If a Gamecock hitter goes yard with the bases loaded, you can win all the money in the pot. We gave away $600-something the other week to our guy Michael, who came in here and was claiming his prize while we were doing the show. So you still have an opportunity to win that as the season does roll along. $25 goes in the pot each and every game. It's up to $150 as of right now. Next opportunity to win comes this weekend as Alabama comes into town. So go to 1075thegame.com and register if you're not already for the Crescent Construction Grand Slam contest. In reference to the coaching search, we head out to the AAA the Firehouse Subs text line for some of your thoughts on what our conversation's been this morning. Nameless texter says, should we really be setting sights on Omaha when this program hasn't been there in basically 15 years? And I think that's an easy yes, Jack. I think because at your best, if Carolina baseball is up to its truest potential, that is a place you should be in the conversation for every single year. Yeah, you haven't been in a decade and a half. And yeah, the last time you went, most of these guys on this team were, 7 or 8 years old. So it's been a while. But if you get the right guy in here with what he's going to have at his disposal, there's no reason why you shouldn't expect that. And look, every single year, that's obviously an extreme, but shouldn't at least be in the conversation to be one of those teams every single year.
You got to, it all comes down to who you hire as the coach. Like, you're going to have the resources to work with. You have the facilities. You have so much working in your favor. But you got to hire the right coach because the right coach is going to bring in the right pool of players to get them to where they need to go. So that's what it comes down to, man. And look, I expect this roster, this roster should look a lot different next year. After what we've seen this season, there should only be a few players you want to bring back heading into next season. Like the new coach that comes in is going to bring their own players, their own recruits in with them. Like, it's going to look a lot different next year. And that coach you bring in is hopefully going to be one that gets you to the top. Like South Carolina, for as bad of a spot as South Carolina's in, and I understand the concept of a rebuild and whatnot, but a program like South Carolina should be able to get back to, at minimum, the postseason next year with a new coach. Hopefully it's the right coach. And from there, look, it could be a little bit of a crapshoot getting to Omaha, but South Carolina, as long as they have the right guy and the right people in the building, they should be able to at least be in the conversation.
Well, with where this program sits as of right now, again, Maneri kind of drove it into the ground essentially. It does reset expectations on how quickly you expect that person to get back there, right? Like whoever the hire is for next year, because like here's the thing with Maneri, right? When Maneri was hired in the summer of 2024, we said, okay, this is a good program that he just needs to take that next step forward to get them back to being one of the best in college baseball. And it wasn't unrealistic for people to say, okay, well, I expect you to do that in your first year. And he even said it himself in his introductory press conference. I'm not here for this long 5-term plan. We're going to hit the ground running and we're going to win right away. Obviously, it ended up happening. Whoever this head coach that gets hired is, I think most of us say, hey, if you just get back to the postseason next year, we'll consider that a win. Now, yeah, you wouldn't love, getting bounced in a regional as the 4 seed or something like that, but it'd be a step in the right direction, one that you haven't been in, basically now 3 years since, Mark Kingston was the head coach. So it's going to be a process to get back to that point, but it shouldn't be something you say, okay, well, I don't expect us to be back in Omaha for another 5 years. Like, no, you can still expect it to happen relatively quickly, but it's not going to be something that I think we expect to happen immediately.
Yeah, not right away, but like within that coach's contract.
Yes.
Like let's say it's a 5-year deal, like exactly what they gave Paul, probably just more money. You have to get to Omaha at least once for that to be a successful contract. Otherwise, what are you doing? Like that should always be the standard for South Carolina after all the success they've had going to Omaha a handful of times over the course of the last 50 years. Like the seasons like this should be, and then like this should not happen. And hopefully it is just a little, random bad point in what's been an otherwise, good successful run of getting to the postseason and going to super regionals and getting to the College World Series and winning it in some cases. It's going to take a lot to get there. College baseball is a lot different now than it was 15 years ago with the level of investment that a lot of these programs are now putting into it, to where the field is much more competitive now than it was in 2010, 11, and 12. But South Carolina, being an SEC school, having the tradition and the history that it does, they should be able to get the coach they want. And from there, the coach brings in the players, and you just try to build it from there. It's a process, but it can be done quickly.
Well, and there's no doubt you're going to have the support, right? And look, for as bad as this season has gone, I'm looking at the numbers on our live stream right now. I'm looking at the people texting in. People still care. As angry as people are right now with what the state of this program is, they're still watching. They're still paying attention. There are still people that are watching every single game and every single pitch for a season that's lost at this point. This fan base cares a lot. And if you get the right guy in here and they can win again, you're going to have all the support in the world, not only from a fan standpoint, but from a resources standpoint, because we know that this school is willing to spend the money that they feel like they need to be competitive.
And people are just ready to get to that point. Like, I can't tell you how many people were commenting over the weekend saying, like, as much, like you're right, they are in tune with what's going on, but it's like they are ready to get this thing going with the new search and hire a new coach. So, I think the energy and excitement is going to be there. But at the end of the day, you got to have the results on the field, and that's what matters most for South Carolina right now.
We're getting ever closer to it. No midweek game this week. Alabama coming into town this upcoming weekend, as, again, Carolina has 2 more regular season series, and then Hoover coming up in a couple weeks to wrap up the Monty Lee experiment, for lack of a better term, I guess. And then we'll see who ends up being hired coming up here in probably about a month's time. And we'll stay on top of all that. We'll move on to Monty Lee versus another candidate tomorrow in terms of breaking down that matchup. We'll get into some other things that happened over the weekend across Gamecock sports and national sports as well, as it was a busy one coming up in hour number 2. There's the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry here on the game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
At AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Call today at 803-677-1500 to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air's qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA Comfort Club to take advantage of special extras such as flexible visits, added discounts, and priority scheduling. AAA Heating and Air also offers indoor air quality products that work with your HVAC system to improve your home's air quality. Clean the air eliminates common household odors, removes allergens and pollutants, and can even improve sleep and reduce the spread of some viruses. Go to callAAAtoday.com for more info. That is callAAAtoday.com for more info. Again, the number to call AAA as well is 803-677-1500. Tell them Jack from 107.5 The Game sent you on over.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because Rhino Shield is backed by a 25-year warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick. Put down that paintbrush and pick up your phone. Call Rhino Shield at 833-RHINO-99. Call now and receive 15% off the regular price. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
For your 15% off, call now, 833-RHINO-99. Or go to RhinoShieldCarolina.com.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Start your spring cleaning with Zerorez. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a free hallway. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just a deeper clean that lasts. Plus, now you can also take $100 off air duct cleaning and breathe cleaner air. Visit ZerorezColumbia.com.
For decades, Morgan & Morgan has represented hundreds of thousands of people at their hour of need. Injuries on the job, car crashes, medical malpractice, and nursing home abuse, Social Security claims, dangerous drugs, and dangerous products. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason, and no firm is even close. Then we got to thinking, what if we could prevent these terrible events before they occurred? So we built the AI-powered People Protector. Simply visit peopleprotector.com and type in the product you have questions about before you buy it. Children's toys and accessories, cars, drugs, products, you name it, we got it. With our success, we decided to pay it forward for all of America. Our way of saying thank you for your trust all these years. Morgan & Morgan, protecting America. And if you've already been injured, just visit us at forthepeople.com.
Joe Standifer, Esquire, 11915 Plaza Drive, Suite 301, Burroughs Inlet, South Carolina, 29576.
Hey guys, Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central here to make sure your business and property parking lots are kept available from any unwanted cars taking up your spots with Schroeder's Towing. For instance, you're coming in hot to the game studios for your show and you park next door in an unauthorized lot with signage that was provided for free from Schroeder's Towing. Next thing you know, the show is in the books and your car is out of the lot. It really is that simple. That's a true story. Call Schroeder's today and keep those unwanted cars out of your lots. Online at schroederstowing.net.
Just dial pound 250 and use the keyword tow truck.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can help you protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, and RV, and more. And if something wasn't mentioned that you had in mind, find out if it can be covered at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE, because it probably can be.
Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game, WNKT Eastover, Columbia, a Cumulus media station.
Oh, yeah?
The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good!
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2, Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry along with you here on your Monday on The Game as we recap everything that happened over the course of the weekend. We'll get into what happened across the NBA playoffs, the Kentucky Derby coming up here in just a little bit. But a lot of things to catch up on from a Gamecock sports perspective, including, Jack, something we're going to talk about on Friday. Gamecock Central got some new partners in crime with the Big Spur. You guys having a little bit of a merger the other day.
Yeah, dude, that was, I'll be fully transparent. That was a total shock to me. I did not, so I actually did get a heads up the night before, but I didn't know it until the next day when it happened. So my boss emailed us letting us know it was going to happen, but I didn't check my phone at all because I was out with Caroline and I was at a movie, and then I did not check my phone, my email at night. So woke up the next morning, went on Twitter. I was like half asleep, and I'm like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. I was confused. I was wondering, like, what the heck? Like, what? I was also like, how was I not informed of this? And then I look at my email. I'm like, oh, yeah. I see. So, yeah, I think there's been a lot of questions about, like, how it works. I don't know if I would call it – I'd call it a merger to some degree, but it's not a merger in the sense of, like Whittle, Hale, and Alex Jones are all still staying with 24/7.
Right.
So that, from that standpoint, that remains that. It's just they're under a different name now. JC and Jamie Bradford are coming over, but they're working under the Big Spur name. So the way, and my boss kind of made this comparison, it's kind of like if you ever go on like KSR, which is Kentucky's On3 website.
Right.
They have KSR, and then they have KSR Plus. So that's the way I'm kind of looking at it, is like what goes on the Big Spur is probably going to be a lot of recruiting, premium type of content, like coaching search stuff, intel, stuff like that will probably go on the Big Spur. But as far as like what we do on Central doesn't change. Like when I'm told, my job doesn't change. You know, Wes, Chris, what those guys do, Kevin, like none of it changes. It's just we're adding a few new pieces to the fold, and yeah, we're kind of all we're all under the same umbrella right now. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to working with those guys and seeing how it plays out. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, all the great Gamecock content in one place with that merger, partnership, whatever you want to call it there. Real quick, what movie did you guys see when you were not reading your email for that news?
Yeah, again, I don't really check my email that late at night. Devil Wears Prada 2.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty good. I watched the first one for the first time like a few days earlier and loved it. The second one's fine. I think I'm gonna give it I haven't put out my official review yet, but it's probably like a 7.5. It was fine.
Have you seen Michael yet?
I did. I'm surprised how many people, like the critics, don't like that movie at all. There's some people that I've seen that don't like it, but overall, I feel like the feedback has been pretty good. I'm one of those people. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good, and I'm looking forward to when part 2 comes out, because I feel like that's almost inevitable at this point.
We saw it on Saturday. That's what I did between games 1 and game 2, basically, with Gamecock baseball. But yeah, I thought it was good. And look, I'm not the biggest Michael Jackson fan in the world. I know plenty of the songs, but I learned a lot of, again, the inner workings of his early career, the family dynamic, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it does. At the end of the movie, it sets you up for the second one to come out in, I don't know, a couple years or something like that. But yeah, I thought it was well done. And Jafar Jackson is Michael. There's no, you feel like you're actually watching Michael Jackson when he's performing.
Oh, he was great. The way I'd put it is that he gives the best portrayal of the movie being made about the person.
Right.
He portrays it so perfectly, and it was a good time at the movie. So definitely enjoyed that.
I agree. I recommend going to see it, especially if you're a really big Michael Jackson fan. Giving back to Gamecock sports, and you weren't here on Friday to talk about this. We also got the commitment going into the weekend from Davian Hanna, the combo guard from Alabama. Didn't play a ton this year, was fairly highly recruited coming out of high school, but he's somebody that you're bringing in on what his upside potential can be, and it's somebody that just kind of reading, the message boards, reading tweets and stuff like that, people are really excited about to see on Lamont Paris's team next year.
So he's 6'6", 190 pounds. He'll have 3 years of eligibility left. He's from Milwaukee. Really didn't play a ton of minutes this year. There were a few games early on in the year, he played 12 minutes against USF, 23 against UTSA, 11 against Clemson, 16 against Maryland, 25 against UNLV, and then he only played, a few minutes against Gonzaga, Illinois, Purdue, St. John's, played 25 minutes against North Dakota in the season opener. So he really hasn't played a ton of minutes, but I think this is a guy that you're bringing him in off the potential, right? Like the 3.3 points per game is not great, but again, it's in such limited minutes. 46.2% shooter from the field, 36% from three-point range. You're bringing him in off of those numbers, I feel like, and what he can be for you. And the ceiling seems to be rather high for him. Again, combo guard, a guy that, coming out of high school is a 4-star recruit across the board, number 48 player in his class. So there is a lot to like there. You hoping he can kind of live up to that potential. And the good thing is he's got multiple years of eligibility left. So maybe a little bit of time, but depending on what his role is too. Like, is he going to be a starter right out of the gate? He's going to come off the bench. I mean, there's a lot. South Carolina's added a lot of guards here in this transfer portal cycle, and he's the latest one. So, there's a lot to like, but I think a lot of this move is based off of what he potentially could become for you.
I think in a way, is it almost more exciting to bring in a guy that you don't have as much of a proven track record for, so in your mind you can kind of lead you to believe of like it's all positives and all upside potential? Because again, he only played in a few games before getting hurt and sitting out the rest of the season, and again, he did fine in those minutes, but again, a lot of what we're looking at here is still what his potential coming out of high school was, compared to some of these other guys where maybe you look at it and say, okay, well, they struggled against these type of opponents, maybe they didn't play this well against SEC teams, or whatever it may be. We don't have a great idea of what this guy is, and I feel like that's leading people to be more positive than some of these other guys where maybe you could pick apart their games a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. I think, would you like a guy that averaged 15 to 20 points a game? Sure. But you have some of that with some of the guys you brought in, like a Corey Mincy, for instance. Like he's your most proven guy right now. A lot of the guys you are bringing in, you're bringing in on the hope that you can do something to unlock what wasn't unlocked at those previous schools. Like they may have had some success there, but they have not yet hit their full potential, untapped, potential essentially is what I'm trying to get at here. But the flip side of that is potential is fine, but if they aren't living up to their potential, then you're going to get what they have, produced at those other stops. So there's a little bit of a risk, but I think there's a potentially high reward if Lamont and this coaching staff are really able to get into figuring out how these guys can be the best version of themselves.
And look, great players can come from all over the place, right? But there is something to be said about getting a guy from a brand like Alabama. Like, again, Alabama is one of the better teams in the SEC, made the Final Four a couple years ago. Again, he didn't play a big factor in that team this year because he got injured so early in the season, but I think we're just kind of naturally inclined. And look, there's been a couple guys. You obviously got Velasquez from Wisconsin. You got Heidi from Texas. He was formerly at Purdue. Played, in a national championship with them a couple years ago. There's something that when you bring in those kind of guys that gets the fan base more excited, rightfully so or not, then bringing in somebody from Duquesne or Drexel or even a place like George Mason. And again, that doesn't mean those guys are going to end up being the best players, but those are the kind of gets that will get people more excited for the upcoming season, whether that's, ends up being true or not.
Yeah, totally. We'll see. You're going to have to prove it with these fans. They're going to have to see it to believe it, and that's like they're not going to be coming out in droves to CLA for the home opener whenever the season begins. Like, you're going to have to win games against Clemson and some of the other better opponents you play in non-conference play potentially. Whenever the schedule comes out, we'll see. But yeah, you're going to have to win these fans over, and bringing in some good players is a nice start. But that doesn't get the average fan there that isn't super in tune with what's going on in recruiting. They want to see the wins and not the losses, and that's the way some people look at it, and that's just the way it is.
So does that bring us up to 10 total, I believe?
Yes, 10 total players now.
So a few more spots to add for Lamont Paris as he continues to round out his team for this upcoming season. Speaking of rounding out the season, softball ends their regular season this past week, and unfortunately, that includes getting swept by Alabama as it was a little bit of a rough weekend there for the Gamecocks. They will end the regular season at, let's see here, 30-25 overall, 7-17 in conference play, and now they'll set their sights on the SEC tournament coming up here in a couple days. They'll take on Ole Miss in the opening round of that. Obviously, last year was such a special year for year number one under Ashley Chastain Woodard, and obviously they were just inches away from getting to Oklahoma City in year number one. And I think, much like we talk about in baseball or in softball, when somebody has a really good, stretch to begin their career at the plate and they start seeing pitchers for the second time, that's when things really start to even out a little bit. I think Ashley Chastain Woodard's second trip around the SEC, a little bit tougher than the first, and obviously they're still in a really good position when it comes to the postseason. No doubt they're going to make it in to that tournament, but this year was obviously probably a lot of learning for what, a standard year in the SEC is going to be like.
The good news for South Carolina is that, yes, they'll probably be a 2 seed in one of these regionals going on the road, is that they have a lot of one-run losses, which may not sound great, but I think that just kind of shows how close it can be, the difference in winning a lot of those games. And heading into the postseason, I'm sure there's going to be, wherever South Carolina ends up, the teams in that regional are probably not going to be happy that they have to have South Carolina as a 2 seed. Because, if a lot of those one-run games go differently, Carolina is in a position to be hosting right now, potentially, and maybe even being a little higher than that. So, yeah, the weekend here was disappointing against Alabama. Alabama's one of the best teams in the country, obviously. But you were close in those games. You've been close all year. You're kind of just hoping at some point, playing a little bit better softball, that you're going to unlock what you really haven't been able to all year. And that really does start tomorrow when you get going in the SEC tournament out in Lexington. And even if you go one and done, South Carolina should be in good position. I think that final stretch of the year before this weekend really did themselves a lot of favors of getting them locked up in the tournament. But, yeah, wherever you get sent, it's going to be tough. But I think South Carolina's battle-tested enough against quality competition, even though all the wins may not be there.
I believe Softball America will put out their newest projections either today or tomorrow, but the one they had out last week did have South Carolina in the Lubbock Regionals, the 2 seed. That'll obviously be hosted by Texas Tech, again, a team that played for the national championship a year ago. It's not easy by any means, but again, we've seen this team's ability to put its best foot forward in the postseason before, and hopefully that starts tomorrow, like you said, with Ole Miss in the SEC tournament.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see what happens with them. But, yeah, I think they're pretty much a lock at this point.
Yep, so we'll see. Again, it's been an up-and-down season. Unfortunately, didn't end the regular season the way you wanted it to with the getting swept by Alabama, but we'll see what happens tomorrow in the SEC softball tournament out in Lexington, Kentucky. We'll switch gears coming up next. Kentucky Derby over the weekend. Pretty eventful 2 minutes to decide the winner of that one. We'll get into that coming up next. And how did you take in the Derby? We'll ask that question as well. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Monday here on The Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Since that win at Clemson by the Gamecocks, things haven't gone well. And when things don't go well, it's time to look back on the days when things were well. Yeah, let's spin back to the good old days on the Game Network.
The Gamecocks are making history in Cleveland. They'll be the 10th team, the 5th program to go undefeated and win the national championship. They will avenge their loss to Iowa from last year. The clock ticks down. 2 seconds to play. Celebration in Cleveland. Perfection wears garnet and black. Game over.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
Now that's some good feels right there. From 107.5 The Game and the Game Network. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000. Use code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000.
BOGO is back at iMart Express.
Come on. Okay.
Right now, for a limited time only, new customers can buy their first pair of glasses and get a second pair free. Plus, with eye exams available and same-day glasses, you'll never miss a moment. It's the kind of savings and service you can really get used to.
Okay.
Find a location near you at imartexpress.com to shop our BOGO event today and see everything we have in store for you. iMart Express. Get glasses. Go see.
Hey, this is Ray and Nathan with Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.
Last year's Technician Bikini Car Wash was a huge success.
But, unfortunately, Grease Lightning and Piston Pete left us for jobs at the club.
Don't worry. If you are feeling hot, we can still cool you down.
By fixing your car's AC for 30% less than the dealership charges.
And we have an $80 rebate on any set of Michelin or BF Goodrich tires until May 23rd.
Cool down online at PopeDavisTire.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every time. Dig into hand-smashed burgers, chef-inspired flatbreads, and more at your local lodge.
Email hijacking and ransomware are on the rise, and they're targeting your business. Once your data is out there, there's no fix, no reset. Do you know where your business is vulnerable right now? Find out with a cybersecurity audit from IntelliSystems. IntelliSystems is one of the few firms worldwide that's GTIA Cybersecurity Trust Mark assured, meaning the highest global standards. They find gaps before criminals do. Schedule your audit now. IntelliSystems.com.
Ad paid for by Adaptive Health. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
I don't care how old or young you are. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. With Nugenix Total T2, the brand new testosterone and nitric oxide boosting formula, I'm keeping up with the kids and finally feeling like my old self again. Now, I've got enough in the tank for whatever life throws my way.
Text STREAK to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. STREAK to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
South Carolina Department of Corrections is hiring correctional officers statewide. Officers must be at least 18 years of age and have a high school diploma or GED. If you have correctional, police, security, or military experience, you can join their team at a promotional rank as a sergeant or lieutenant. Discover a rewarding correctional career with room for long-term career advancement and a generous employee benefits package that cares for you and your family. Visit joinscdc.com to apply today. Sponsored by SC Department of Corrections, SCBA, and this station.
Oh, yeah. The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
Far outside with commandment. They're both putting in their runs as they arrive into the final furlong. O'Sally is also gaining ground on the far outside as they come to the last 16th of a mile. Denon Bourbon in front. O'Sally a huge long shot. Renegade and Golden Tempo are closing too. Here's Golden Tempo. Golden Tempo and Cherie DeVaux make history in the Kentucky Derby over Renegade in a final time of 2:02.27 seconds.
Welcome back in. Extra Points, Tyler Head and Jack Belcher with you here on your Monday on the Game. The most exciting 2 minutes in all of sports. Certainly lived up to that billing on Saturday. Golden Tempo takes the Kentucky Derby there. Again, a time just a little over 2 minutes, and once again ends up being a photo finish. Jack, I know you were at Alex Box Stadium. How did you take in the Kentucky Derby, if at all, on Saturday?
Saw the final stretch on the TV inside the press box, and man, was that nuts. Going from last to first in the span of like 30 seconds is just, it's nuts. It's really nuts. And, you know, I'm watching the clip back again, and you can kind of see all the momentum shifts once the horse gets around the really cuts over to the right side a little bit, and then it's streamlined from there up to the top. I mean, just actually nuts seeing this, and it's really cool, really fascinating. I love how everyone kind of gets into it, and what a great finish to the race. That was awesome.
Yeah, he was in last place as they were entering the final quarter mile, coming through the last turn there, and then just hits the jets and comes to the outside. And I thought it was pretty cool that the winning jockey narrowly edged out his brother, who was on Renegade, who was the favorite coming in right there at the line. So a lot of good storylines built in, as you just heard on the call there. Cherie DeVoe becomes the first female trainer to ever win the Kentucky Derby, which that actually kind of surprised me, right? I don't, and look, I'm not an expert in horse training or anything by those means. I don't know the benefits or differences in terms of a man or woman training a horse. So it was surprising me to learn that's the first time that's ever happened. You know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely surprised a little bit, for sure. But, you know, especially when you got like equestrian right down the road, and with South Carolina, you know, doing its thing with the women there. But yeah, it's definitely surprising, I would say. But it's, you know, it's again significant in the fact that a woman becomes the first to win, you know, the Kentucky Derby as a female trainer. So really cool to see, and that's definitely was a little bit surprising though.
Well, I know we talked about the biggest events, I think, on our bucket list the other week. I know I had Kentucky Derby in my top 5. Do you have it in yours?
Of like sporting events?
Yeah, of like must-see sporting events in your lifetime.
Potentially. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to get out to, go see the Kentucky Derby. I mean, I don't think anyone would turn it down. Like, you know, definitely in the grand scheme of things, it's definitely up there because you have the Kentucky Derby watch parties. Like Caroline was at one this weekend. It's definitely popular and it's really fun to watch. So, yeah, I would definitely say if it's not in my top 5, it's probably right on the outside of it.
So what was her Kentucky Derby fit?
She was wearing a green dress. I can look at the picture. She brought it for our trip when I proposed, and she thought about wearing it on the day I did propose, but I was like, just save it for another day. It's got like a flowery pattern to it. So yeah, it's a really cool white dress with a lot of green all over it. So, and then she borrowed a hat from, it's one of those weird hats you look at and I was just like, what the heck is that? So it was strange.
That is the funny thing to me. And you know, the event itself is obviously about the horse race, and look, certainly if you're into gambling and all that kind of stuff, that takes up your interest. But I just am so fascinated to see what people wear, and look, I'm the least fashionable person you'll ever meet in your entire life. So the concept of why people wear certain things is still lost on me. But like the hats that some of them wear, where it's like, because some of the women at the Derby, it was like hanging off the side of their head, and it was just like flat and straight. I was like, I don't know what the concept of what we're trying to do here is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. I was supposed to go to this Kentucky Derby party until I realized I was going to LSU this weekend, so that did not happen. I don't know what my Derby fit would have been. It would have had to be something unique. And some of the fits that these guys are wearing, like Jackson Dart had a weird fit at the like a pinstripe suit. I mean, there's a lot. Joe Burrow was wearing a really weird hat. That's the other thing. You get all these celebrities who probably know next to nothing about horse racing, just like most of us. And here they are out here at the Kentucky Derby because it's the popular thing to be at.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is it is as much of a social event as it is the actual like sport itself. And there are other, like, you see a lot of celebrities at the Super Bowl, right? Celebrities otherwise maybe wouldn't care about football, but it's something, for one, it's not cheap to go, right? You got to pay money to be, especially if you have a good seat in a box or something like that. Like, it is more for, I think, those people, like, the status symbol, like, hey, I'm at the Kentucky Derby and you're not. I'm showing off my expensive whatever kind of designer clothes and you're sitting at home watching. Like, I think for some people it's a flex, right?
100% a flex. They do the whole red carpet thing beforehand for all the celebrities. Yeah, it's a if you are anybody, you're probably going to be there. Like, if you are a celebrity, probably going to be there. Like, I'm sure. And again, I didn't pay too much attention because I was working and whatnot, but I can imagine there were a handful of big time, not just sports stars, but just big name people in general that were at this event.
I will say Joe Burrow is from Ohio, which is right above Kentucky, so he might actually have more interest in that event than the average person, just because he's in a little bit more closer proximity to it. But yeah, a lot of the people, a lot of celebrities and stuff like that, it's more of like, hey, I'm at the Kentucky Derby, here's my expensive outfit, and I'm just here to have a good time, gamble and drink or whatever.
Was Xavier Legette back again this year? Or was
that's a good question. Actually,
I honestly, I did not see anything. He should be there because he was very entertaining to watch. What was it, last year, 2 years ago, that he was there doing for like the NFL?
He was the NFL's official horse correspondent. I'm not seeing anything about him being. I'm sure he was there. He was not doing anything from like a media standpoint this time. What he did last year was fantastic, though, and I wish they would have done that again this year. But I don't know. Maybe the charm of Legette has worn off in the league a little bit. You know what I mean?
Especially with his play not being what you would hope for from a first round pick, but. Yeah, I know that was what I was wondering though. Is he at the Kentucky Derby again? Because he was very entertaining to listen to. But yeah.
By the way, most watched Kentucky Derby ever. Averaged 19.6 million viewers on NBC and Peacock. Viewership peaked at 24.4 million during the race. Largest audience for an NBC broadcast of the Derby. So it pulls people in. And again, we had gone to see the Michael movie. We got home at like 6:30. So as soon as I got home, I turned it on. And the race, the advertised race time was like 6:57. I think it started like 7:10 or something along those lines. But I tuned in long enough because I wasn't interested in watching 5 hours of pre-race or anything like that. But I tuned in long enough to see the thing, and then until it carried over into NBA after that.
Yeah. So it flies by though, because it is only just, is it just that one lap there?
Yeah. So the whole race is the one lap, and again it takes about 2 minutes. I mean, there's other races throughout the day, much like if you go like to the Carolina Cup or the Camden Cup, you see multiple races, but there is the one main event, which is the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So it's kind of like a card in fighting.
Exactly. Yeah. But the build up is to the biggest event.
Yes, that makes sense.
There you go. Yeah. Speaking of the NBA, by the way, which the Kentucky Derby led into on Saturday night, wild weekend for the NBA playoffs as we wrapped up the first round. We'll discuss that coming up on the other side. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri on your Monday on the Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network, Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
This hour of in-show listening on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by QC Kinetics in West Columbia, the non-surgical regenerative orthopedic specialists of the Midlands. Request your consultation today by dialing pound 250 and use keyword QC Kinetics.
Mike Rowe here with another fun fact. If your concrete is cracked or uneven, you can actually lift it back up. Whether it's a sinking driveway, a patio, or a sidewalk, do yourself a favor and call a Groundworks company. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to lift your concrete slabs. Schedule a free inspection with Mount Valley Foundation Services, a Groundworks company.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
The future stars of the PGA Tour are coming to Columbia. The Colonial Life Charity Classic is bringing championship golf to the Wood Creek Club May 14th through 17th. Be there to experience the intensity up close as tomorrow's champions battle it out on every hole. Bring the family and take in the tournament atmosphere, excitement, and a full week of entertainment built for all ages. Don't miss your chance to witness the journey to the top. The Colonial Life Charity Classic. Get your tickets now.
At Cato's Power Equipment, we pride ourselves on the relationships we build with you and with your lawnmower. Right now, you can own a Toro Time Cutter or Titan Zero Turn with payments as low as $100 a month and 0% financing for qualified buyers, plus plenty of great financing offers for all credit scores. Now through April, Cato's will include a free 5-year extended warranty package backed by our Master Service Repair Center, because the tools you need to maintain your turf should come with the support you deserve. Come shop at Cato's Power Equipment, family owned since 1984.
If you need orthopedic or neurosurgical care, it's a big deal to you and to us. At Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, we offer easy access to seasoned physicians with the most extensive outpatient experience in the region. Whether it's joint replacement, a neck or back procedure, or injury care, you can trust us to provide customized treatment plans with easy access, great outcomes, and lower cost to you. Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
Looking for a truck dealership that treats you like family? Come to Herndon Chevrolet, your truck headquarters, proudly serving Lexington and the Midlands for over 50 years. Whether you're after a brand new Silverado, a tough pre-owned truck, or expert service, you'll find it all right here with a huge selection and the best truck deals around. There's no better place to shop. Visit HerndonChevy.com or stop by today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass.
Jim Rome takes on sports.
Why? Because I have a job to do.
With rapid fire takes.
So I don't want to hear from you lava pigs on this notion today. No idea what you're talking about. You're complaining more than you like to breathe air. It's like you get up in the morning only to complain and cry and moan on social media about things that you don't even understand.
He's the Spitfire of sports smack.
Take advantage of it. Get up in here.
The Jim Rome Show podcast.
What's your beef?
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
You've been warned.
What team sprung a leak this weekend? Sponsored by American Leak Detection on the Extra Point.
Welcome back in. Extra Point, Tyler Head and Jack Veltri with you here on your Monday on the Game. It is time for Sprung a Leak. Brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection. And Jack, there may not have been any better candidate for Who Sprung a Leak since we've been doing this for a couple years now than what happened over the weekend with the Orlando Magic blowing not just the series, but what would have been a series-clinching halftime lead in Friday's Game 6. They were up by 22 points and ended up having maybe the worst second half you'll ever see in an NBA game as they fall to the Pistons 93-79 to tie the series at 3. Then they proceed to lose Game 7 yesterday to lose the series they were up 3-1 in.
Dude, they had 11 points they had 19 total points in the second half. 11 in the third quarter, 8 in the fourth quarter. That is just simply unbelievable, especially after going into halftime on a 35-12 run in the second quarter alone. Like, it's inexcusable. It's bad. You had a 3-1 series lead in this series, and look, the Pistons, they won 60 games this season. Obviously, they're the number 1 seed in the East for a reason, and the Magic are an 8 seed. But anytime you have a 3-1 lead and then you play like that, that's just tough. You cannot be losing a series like that. And it gets into my headline for the weekend that we'll talk about in the next segment. But, man, what a disappointment by the Magic. And they also just fired their coach, Jamal Mosley. So he's out after this season ends brutally.
Yeah, it looked like basically a week ago if you would have told me that he would have been fired, might have been unbelievable to a lot of people. But when you blow a 3-1 series lead, and when you have the collapse the way that you did in game number 6, that's just inexcusable. And for Jamal Mosley, that is 3 straight years of making the playoffs and 3 straight years of being bounced in the first round. Of course, they had to play their way into getting into the tournament this time around, and then obviously they obliterated the Hornets in that last play-in game, going a couple weeks back. And then they go out there and again they jump on the number 1 seed in the Detroit Pistons. But when it falls apart that way, you got to change something, right? I mean, that's inexcusable on any front, especially when you had the command of the game that you had going into halftime on Friday, and then just see it fall apart that way. I get why they made the move.
Especially having an absolute star like Paolo Banchero, like 38 points in Game 7, and yet the Magic still lose by 20-plus points. Like that's just hard to believe. So you have a star in the making right there. A really good player that put up some pretty solid numbers overall. I mean, yeah, 45-point game in game 5 against the Pistons. Again, 38 in Game 7. Really talented player. You got to get more around that guy to really be competitive. And we'll see if the Magic are willing to do that. I'm interested to see who they hire in the process. But, yeah, I mean, when you get bounced in the first round every year, that's just not progress and shows that something needs to change.
Let's say the series doesn't go the way that it did. Let's say it's the Magic that are down 3-1. They come back, they force a Game 7, and then they lose there. He's probably still got a job, right? But it's the way that they collapsed and blew the series, and especially with how things unfolded on Friday. Like at that point, something's got to change.
Yeah, I think things are maybe you still move on from him just because of the overall fact that you've been bounced in the first round for 3 years in a row now. But I think the way things went down in these final few games, especially with having a 3-1 lead, definitely were a huge contributing factor to why he's no longer the coach.
Now, here's the question. What was more embarrassing? What happened to the Magic or what happened to the Hawks the other day?
I think because of the way the Knicks pounded the Hawks in Game 6 is probably going to give the edge to the Hawks. And honestly, none of those games, I mean, Tyler, you could tell me better than I could tell you. I mean, it did not look like those last 3 games that the Knicks, beat the Hawks in were competitive by any means.
Not really. And even when the Hawks, I forget if it was Game 2 or Game 3, they had to come back from 12, 19-point deficit in that one to win that one. So the Knicks showed that they were the better team throughout the series. But yeah, those last couple games weren't even close. And I don't care how good one team is or the other. You should never get beat like that in a playoff game, right? Like, you didn't even look like you belonged in the same league as the Knicks. So, yeah, that might still be more embarrassing. As bad as what happened in the Magic was, getting, especially in your home court, right? Like, if that happened at MSG, that's one thing, but they came in and embodied you in State Farm Arena. That's just inexcusable.
I mean, the game was over after the first quarter. I mean, it was
a 50-point game in the second quarter.
Like, it was, I mean, that's embarrassing right there after having a 2-1 lead. And you're right. I don't think the series probably should have gotten that far to begin with. The Knicks hadn't blown some leads early on in the series. Maybe things are a little bit quicker. But, yeah, the fact the Hawks were up in the series and then the Knicks stormed back, and that's what the Knicks are supposed to do. But, yeah, complete collapse by the Hawks. I think I'd actually give the edge to the Magic just because they were up 3-1. And granted, it's an 8 versus 1 seed series compared to the Knicks and the Hawks being a little bit on a more even playing field, but still, definitely. I mean, anytime you blow a 3-1 lead, then your coach gets fired, and the way things went down in those games, I mean, just really, really bad.
On Saturday, another Game 7 in the Eastern Conference. This between the 76ers and the Celtics, and the Sixers end up walking out of TD Garden with the 109-100 win. A question here, Jack. Can the Celtics use the excuse of not having Jason Tatum as the reason why they didn't win this series?
I don't know about that. I mean, it definitely didn't help. I mean, he probably does make the difference for them in that game, but still, I mean, look, the Sixers, give them a lot of credit. I mean, they had to do it the hard way because they were also down 3-1 in this series, and they got to win the final 3 games. 2 of them being in Boston, that's really tough to do. And look, the Sixers were also in that play-in round, trying to get to the first round here, and give them a lot of credit. Now they get to go on the road and play the Knicks starting tonight, actually, at MSG, 7 p.m. on NBC. So looking forward to seeing how that series shakes out. But yeah, another total collapse here. A lot of collapses around the league, and the Lakers are kind of the one fortunate team, I would say, to avoid any of that. And now their punishment is going to play the Thunder in the first round. But yeah, the Sixers, I mean, doing it the hard way for sure.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Boston played without Jason Tatum for most of this season. He was on the court for the last 2 games they lost in that, or the prior 2 games that they lost in that series. They watched their 3-1 series advantage disintegrate there. So I'm not in the camp of like, well, if Jason Tatum's out there, they definitely win, because the prior 2 games weren't very competitive. The Sixers won. So I think at the end of the day, it was a full-on collapse by Boston that resulted in the Sixers winning this series.
And the other series to go 7 games was the Cavs beating the Raptors after, I mean, my gosh, that game on, was it Friday, was just absolutely nuts with that RJ Barrett 3-point shot that clanked off the top of the rim, bounced up, and then went back in. I mean, that was kind of like, in your head, was that like a Kawhi Leonard type of shot right there?
Yeah, and I saw they were comparing it. I think Barrett's shot hung up in the air a little bit longer, but very comparable with how long it was before it went in the basket. And it's just kind of one of those unreal shots that, you feel like you only see, kind of in the postseason. And obviously the Cavs will go on to win game number 7 to wrap up the series there. But give a shout out to Colin Murray-Boyles for his first ever NBA playoffs. Goes out there, puts in some very strong performances, had a double-double in game number 4 a couple days ago, ends up averaging just over 14 points, grabbed just over 6 rebounds, and he really turned a lot of heads in his first performance in the postseason of his NBA career.
And he was coming off the bench. I mean, this is a guy that most certainly, I mean, the Raptors made a good pick taking him at 9 overall in last year's draft. Like, he is going to be like one of the cornerstone pieces of what the Raptors are trying to do in rebuilding. I think this was a successful year for the Raptors. Now, sure, is it tough to lose the series in 7 games? Absolutely. But I think the Raptors are kind of just getting started. And yeah, having CMB right at the center of it, he had a great playoff series, shot 65% from the field. Didn't have a ton of points in games 5 and game 7, only 8 points apiece. But overall, man, I mean, with the other scores you have on this team, he's doing this coming off the bench as the main guy. A good series for him for sure.
Hopefully that's a good sign of things to come for his future NBA career there. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour, recap our headlines of the weekend, what we said going into the weekend was going to happen. Coming up next, it is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Monday on The Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, and 100.5 The Game in Florence.
Hey, this is Preston here from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, bakery, coffee shop, burger joint, pizza spot, or that hidden gym that everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? Well, we got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There is no catch. Times are tough, but we're here to help you and your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
Legendary New York Yankees play-by-play broadcaster John Sterling passing away at the age of 87, a tremendous loss. Sterling, one of the voices of the Yankee dynasty in the late 90s and early 2000s, known for his humor, nicknames for players, his over-the-top home run calls, a true original, an absolute legend, and a very kind and sweet man off the air. Rest in peace, John Sterling. I'm Nick Costos.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription. And I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it, because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
In today's fast-moving job market, staying ahead means keeping your skills sharp. At University of Maryland Global Campus, we help keep your capabilities cutting edge with our skills-based education programs designed to move your career forward. Explore more than 135 degrees and certificates in business, cybersecurity, and more. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 13th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Wendy's new Biggie Deals lets you choose whatever you're in the mood for. It's like a music mixing board of deals, and you're the producer. Go with some chill folk music with a JBC in the $4 Biggie Bite snack. Try the drum and bass of deals with a double stack in the $6 Biggie bag. Or go full-on sandwich symphony with an $8 Biggie bundle, the grand finale of snacking. And the best part? They all come with napkins. $4, $6, and $8 Biggie Deals how you want them at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers.
Oh, yeah? The Extra Point with Tyler Head.
And the kick is good.
Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network.
All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Felcher wrapping up hour number 2 here on your Monday on the Game. We'll get into our future headlines coming up in a moment, but I have to make this observation. We have ESPN on in the studios typically because we got multiple TVs in here, and typically ESPN's on just to keep up with the news of the day and all that kind of stuff. That's where I saw that Jamal Mosley was fired by the Magic a little while ago, but it's so funny. It's almost become kind of a meme, right? How Stephen A. Smith and First Take can't avoid the GOAT conversation coming up like every single week, and they had the headline a few minutes ago, would LeBron in the GOAT conversation if the Lakers beat the Thunder in the second round? I'm just like, what are we doing, man?
Oh my God. This is just so silly. So silly. Did you see, I think I saw a tweet about it. It's, Skip Bayless, who was, of course, on First Take with Stephen A. for so many years. Apparently, he is going to be on the show on Friday.
Oh.
On First Take.
Reunion.
Did you see that?
Reunion. Okay.
Yeah. So Front Office Sports posted it. It's an exclusive. Skip Bayless is set to appear alongside Stephen A. Smith on Friday's episode of First Take. Front Office Sports has learned it will mark his first ESPN appearance since leaving the network in 2016.
Who does he even work for now?
I don't think he's at Fox anymore because him and Shannon Sharp don't do what's it called? Undisputed. I can't remember the name of the show.
Yeah, because Shannon doesn't do anything with National anymore.
He was let go from ESPN.
Yeah, after that whole thing happened last year.
I don't know what Skip. I see him posting some of the silliest stuff on Twitter, though.
I typically just whenever I see his stuff, I just typically just ignore it because it's hot air at that point. But you know what? There's going to be some viral moments, I'm sure, from Friday if he's going to rejoin First Take.
Yeah, so it sounds like that's the case, but
that'll be interesting.
Looking forward to watching that.
From this past weekend, we gave our future headlines going into the weekend. I did say for mine that, and you weren't here on Friday, Jack, but Renegade was the favorite to win the Kentucky Derby going into the weekend. However, he drew post number one. Post number one had not won the Kentucky Derby since 1986. Funny enough, he nearly won it because he was edged out by Golden Tempo right there at the line. But my headline was Renegade would not win the Kentucky Derby. So I did get mine correct. Yours, however, did not age quite as well.
Oh, mine was terrible. It was awful. And probably shows how much thought I put into it. Magic winning the series in 6 against the Pistons, and how big of a collapse it will be for the Pistons to lose as a 1 seed to an 8. Well, on the flip side, the Magic had the biggest collapse. So I guess in a way, the complete opposite happened. I thought the Magic really would have won the series after going up 3-1. I was just convinced with the way they won those 2 games in Orlando, there's just no slowing them down. The Pistons will make it a series and get it to 6 for sure, which they did. But, yeah, the way the Magic played in those final 2 games, especially Game 6, scoring 79 points and only 19 points in the second half. After that, they were doomed. And it's a collapse that, again, has led to Jamal Mosley being fired after the Magic have been bounced in the first round the last 3 years.
Well, there's something to be said about momentum, especially in the playoffs. And again, the Magic had to play their way in, but they had the obliteration of the Hornets in that final play-in game. They carried that momentum into winning that first game against the Pistons a couple days later, which we thought, hey, they might go in there and get swept because Pistons are the number 1 seed. They get out 3-1 lead, okay, they've got everything on their side. You expected the Pistons to kind of maybe even the series up, which wasn't unexpected, and then to have the first half that they did, it's oh man, there's no question this is going to be for the Magic. And what happened over the next 6 quarters was just truly insane to watch. And yeah, there's a reason why Jamal Mosley no longer has a job anymore.
It's bad. But you know what I will say? I think at the very least the playoffs, I'm not the biggest NBA fan, but I do think the playoffs have been entertaining so far, right? I feel like the first round is way too long. It should not be 7 games. But I got to say, there was some enjoyment watching these series play out. I thought it was very entertaining for the most part. Just glad it wasn't sweeps across the board. The Thunder sweeping the Suns, not really a surprise. They're obviously the best team in the NBA right now. But, yeah, definitely good to see a lot of series go down to the wire across the board and some upsets along the way, with the Magic and the Sixers.
The only problem with the NBA playoffs is there's that fatigue factor of how long it takes. We still got over a month until we decide who the champion is going to be. So you get the excitement of the first round, exciting matchups in round number 2, but it does wear on you at some point compared to other, baseball and the NFL and college football, kind of wrap it up in about a month or so. So you just have to, stand in for the slog that is the NBA playoffs. But like you said, the first round has been pretty fun so far.
And hockey is the same exact way. Both hockey and the NBA, it's May 4th right now. both those seasons will go until like mid-June. It's nuts. It's crazy how long the playoffs are. I think they do need to find a way to shorten some of it. And I think making maybe the first 2 rounds, maybe, or even just the first round best of 5, I think would speed things along a little bit. And just having less. The other thing is just the amount of travel days they have in between. So it's a long 2-month process, but still, it's entertaining to watch for sure.
It is what it is at this point. Jack, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, see you then.
Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs coming up next on your Monday here on The Game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Running a business means wearing multiple hats. So if you're like me, you probably started out using your personal phone, taking client calls and texts nonstop. As my business grew, I needed something smarter. That's when I switched to Quo, the #1 business phone system. Quo works right on your phone or computer. No carrying 2 phones, no clunky landline, just one easy app you can try for free. Your team can share one number and handle calls and texts together like a shared inbox. Any teammate can jump into the conversation, so customers get faster responses. And Quo's AI assistant summarizes your calls and responds to customers 24/7, so you never miss a lead or opportunity. All this starts at just $15 a month. That's basically 2 coffees. You can even keep your current business phone number. Find out why 90,000 businesses trust Quo. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free at quo.com/sports. That's quo.com/sports to try Quo free. QUO.com/SPORTS.
Hey, this is Ray and Nathan with Pope Davis Tire and Automotive.
Last year's Technician Bikini Car Wash was a huge success.
But, unfortunately, Grease Lightning and Piston Pete left us for jobs at the club.
Don't worry. If you are feeling hot, we can still cool you down.
By fixing your car's AC for 30% less than the dealership charges.
And we have an $80 rebate on any set of Michelin or BF Goodrich tires until May 23rd.
Cool down online at PopeDavisTire.com.
Hey, this is Jen Jensen for CHW Cabinetry. My family is using CHW Cabinetry, and they are fantastic to work with. They make sure you're satisfied with every step of the process. Not only do their photorealistic renderings show exactly what your new space will look like, their job site guarantees everyone is on the same page, literally. Experience the CHW difference for yourself. Go to chwcabinetry.com to see more, or call them at 803-520-6837, and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation.
If you have nagging arthritis pain that won't go away and nothing seems to help, you may need to consider joint replacement, and that can be a little unsettling. At Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery, we understand and can help put your mind at ease. Our experienced orthopedic surgeons and advanced technology enable our team to deliver consistently excellent joint replacement outcomes with no hospital stay and lower costs to you. Midlands Orthopedics and Neurosurgery.
Don't you love being treated special when you shop and saving money? That just makes it even better. At Gamecock Traditions, they've got more ways to save on all your Gamecock gear. Sign up for their emails and get the news and deals first. Show your Gamecock Club card, your Alumni Association card, or your faculty ID and score a discount on Gamecock merchandise. Military, you save. Is it your birthday? You save. And don't forget their loyalty program. Earn cash back on every purchase, and it never expires. That's the Gamecock Traditions way. Lexington, Sand Hills Village, or online at GamecockTraditions.com.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money, so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code TRACK, to borrow up to $10,000. Use code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus media station. The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
11 o'clock on your Monday morning. Welcome in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you here on the game, starting your week off. Guess I should wish you guys a happy May the 4th be with you. I'm not sure if that's y'all's thing or not.
It's not.
You're not a big Star Wars guy?
No. People shame me about it sometimes.
Yeah. But hey, look, I'm the same way. Like I've seen a couple of the movies, but I'm not crazy about it.
I don't have a T-shirt or anything.
I don't either. No action figures, nothing like that. I mean, hey, teach their own.
Teach their own.
If you're into that, that's cool. How about you, Wes?
Just not a lover.
Star Wars fanatic, nerd, anything like that?
No. Did you have this convo with Jack?
Briefly.
Oh, I think he's in. I think he's into it, man.
I think he's into it more than we are.
He's probably given some of his movie reviews in the past.
Oh yeah.
For the new ones.
Yeah.
I think I've seen them all. Like I've watched all of the Star Wars movies.
Oh wow, better than me.
You haven't seen them all?
There's a lot of them, man.
All of them?
Yeah, there's not. I mean,
like
you've had like
of them.
You've had like 40 years to watch them all. Like they've been spread. They've been spread out. I'm saying they're.
You like how I put that in there?
Yeah, I got you. Soon you will be 40.
Nope. Turning 25 this year.
So, no, like, I'm just saying, it's not like they've come out in the last 5 years. Like, you've had time to see if you like them.
No, I just haven't. I haven't seen a bunch of movies that I want to see. I mean, my list of shows and movies is, I'll never catch up. Ever.
I've seen them all. I thought they were pretty good. I just didn't connect with it.
You didn't go out, did you wear a costume, when you saw them? Yeah, you didn't do that.
I didn't connect with it the way Tyler does wrestling or the Georgia Bulldogs.
By the way,
see, that's the way. I don't shame people. Teach their own.
Let me tell you, I don't even know when this came out. Maybe you'll be like, that's been out for 5 years.
Yeah.
I've already seen it twice. Speaking of wrestling, I've started the Mr. McMahon documentary.
I think it came out last year, I want to say. So it's relatively
not like
new.
10 years old. I feel a little bit better. It's amazing.
Yeah. Gets into some stuff, man. Yeah.
There are things in it. Yeah.
There are things that, they started it thinking it was going to be one thing, then some things happened, so that kind of changed. So, yeah, it's a wild ride. I haven't gotten to the Hulk Hogan one yet. That's apparently pretty good.
Yeah,
my dad was telling me about that. So, at least you're catching up on that while you're still, putting Star Wars to the back burner at least. Well, I can tell you this, the force was not with Gamecock baseball this past weekend as they go down to Baton Rouge and unfortunately get swept by LSU all 3 games. Poor offensive output all weekend long, only 4 hits. 33 strikeouts in the weekend, bad with runners in scoring position and other metrics that we've talked about a lot this year. Unfortunately, and this is my big thing on Friday going into the weekend, don't be the get-right series for LSU, who had been scuffling in their past 3 SEC series coming in, getting swept in all those. And unfortunately, it looks like they, at least for the weekend, got back on track against South Carolina.
Yeah, you never want to be you definitely never want to be on the other side, to your point, of that get-right game or series, and certainly seems that way. This is an LSU team that was, I think if you looked at the way South Carolina's schedule played out, when the season started, you maybe wouldn't have circled LSU and said, hey, that's a series you should win. And, with this team, maybe you don't say that about any of the series. But certainly the way things have played out so far this year and looking at the final few series compared to the rest of the schedule, yeah, I think you were going, hey, this is winnable even at LSU. And until you lost the midweek, South Carolina was playing some better ball. And, I think it's kind of a theme for this season. Every time we do feel like there's a little glimmer of hope, there's kind of a little bit of that flash of consistency, we realize, like, there's not that consistency. And I know baseball is a game, like, typically there's going to be ups and downs, but obviously just far too many downs at this point for this team. And, just some defensive – Chris and I were gathering recruiting stuff pretty much all day yesterday. So, full disclosure, I saw very little of yesterday's game.
You didn't miss much.
But I saw some of the stuff on Twitter, and some of the defensive miscues and mistakes and kind of mental errors that just, in a game that just completely got away from them and wasn't really that close. I don't know, man. Like, it kind of just – some of this weekend was a microcosm of the entire season to this point. And, Chris, I frankly, I don't really know how much there is left to say just about where things are with this team. We're just kind of – we're having some version of the same conversation every week at this point, whether it is, hey, they're playing a little bit better, or whether it's they're not playing better, but, it's different specifics, but same general thoughts.
Same general premise, because you can look at some of the games and say, well, LSU obviously got some runs, but some of those were on the back, particularly yesterday, you look at some of the mental miscues and the errors that those played a role for sure. The pitching, and this has been a theme, a lot of times did enough, but your defense let you down. If it wasn't one thing, it was the other. The bats pretty consistently let you down. You just laid out the stats, Tyler, which are, pretty ugly. And so it is, bless Jack. He went to Baton Rouge, covered the thing.
Didn't even get to go to New Orleans on Saturday because they played a doubleheader.
Yeah, didn't even get to do it. So he went out there, did it. Got some one-on-one stuff with Monty afterwards, to get his thoughts. And this isn't this isn't saying anything, but, for Monty Lee, after a game like that, what is, an interim coach, took over, not even in the middle of the season before. He's had a chance, obviously, to put his stamp on the program. But a lot of those things are very similar, after we've seen some of these series losses, addressing the bats, what you're going to do, and needing to be more competitive. And I think we're all at a point where, like, fans, I think very much, a lot of fans have been just ready to turn the page of what's next, because you've got a baseball coaching search looming that's, I think from what Jeremiah Donati said last week, really getting started in earnest this week. They've been doing some stuff in the lead-up, of course, but people are wondering, okay, what's next? And, again, we talked about this too. There have been points this season where there's some little glimmers of hope. Win a few games, play better, even in some of the losses, play better, where you can kind of squint and say, okay, if they can clean some of these things up, and then, boom, here's another midweek loss, or here's a series sweep. We've seen that roller coaster so many times, and now I think you can officially kill off the, hey, if they can go make this huge, incredible run at the end of the year, you kind of had to leave that at least hanging by a thread, because mathematically it was possible. Even if you said that's not going to happen, mathematically it was possible. Now it's really not even, you can go to Hoover, okay, we know that's going to be tough. Monty talked about that, how do you situate the pitching staff? You start thinking about that, kind of preparing, because that's the path you've got to take. But, it's a lot of the same things. In some ways, even though I've said a lot of words in the past couple minutes I've been talking, there's nothing new, but there's really nothing new to say.
Yeah.
I told Wes, again, yesterday, we're sitting there watching the game. Wasn't over. Did not look pretty for South Carolina. They had already lost the first two games, and I said, man, I don't really know what to say anymore about this. You can analyze what happened in the game, why they lost the games, but there's not as much, until you get to Hoover to talk about in terms of what it means for this season. So a lot of people are just looking forward, and I get that totally.
Yeah, and in terms of Hoover, because, again, that's the only pathway to making the NCAA tournament at this point. Again, we've seen this team's just not built for that. Can they go in there and win a game? Sure. Could they win 2 games? Yeah, that's possible. Baseball's funny like that, but we've not seen them be able to sustain success in SEC play. They had a 5-game winning streak back at the beginning of the year between Upstate, Charleston Southern, and then when they swept Princeton. But since they've gotten into conference play, and this is carried over into the midweek games as well, they can't put together more than really 2 games in a row. I know they swept Missouri the other weekend, but besides that, they've not been able to have sustained success in consecutive games, offensively, pitching, defense, whatever it may be. And those kind of teams just aren't going to be able to survive a gauntlet like that, coming up in a couple weeks, again, which is their only hope at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%, man. And some of that, I think some of what appears to be inconsistency or some of what plays out as inconsistency really is just that they're just not good enough overall. Just to be completely honest, you know what I'm saying? Like baseball is a game. You're not going to play 10 games and lose all 10 more than likely, or win all 10 if there's some competitive nature. Like if there's somewhat not equal talent, but we're not talking about like a high school team versus a college team, right? Like these are still SEC teams or still just Division I teams. A lot of times you're playing. So if you play 10 games, the better team is going to win like 7 of the 10. And then even sometimes a far worse team may win 3 of the 10. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we look at that and we're like, hey, why aren't they more consistent? They can do it, but they just don't do it consistently. Well, that's kind of what baseball is. The very good players can do things consistently, and the lesser ones, comparatively to who they're playing, will do it less consistent. You know what I'm saying? Very few SEC teams are going to go out there and just never win games. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really know if inconsistency is like the root cause of any of this. I just think that's kind of yet another symptom of a lot of these other teams just have more talent, frankly, than South Carolina at this point. And that, to me, is ultimately the issue at this time.
Well, let's hear a little bit of what Mighty Lee did have to say about the weekend series that was in LSU. We'll also get into what happened over the weekend with recruiting as well as the hour does roll along. As the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on your Monday on the Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network, Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Powered by Integrated Media. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. For auto, home, and commercial glass. ShepherdsGlass.com. In Chapin and West Columbia. The Game TV. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
All right, everyone, let's tell you about our friends over at Integrated Media, as we do every day here on the program. Your one-stop shop for all your tech and audio-visual needs. They've been to Wes's home. They've been to mine. Let them come out to yours. Anything you need from a tech or audio-visual standpoint, they can do it for you. If you're having trouble with your internet signal at your home, they can help make sure that you don't have any dead spots. They can advise you on your service provider. If you're out in areas that aren't necessarily in the city, having trouble with connectivity, they can even install Starlink for you. Home theater, smart homes, AV solutions, even security and cameras. They can source the equipment for you and professionally install it. What that means is they're a true one-stop shop. You don't have to go to a store and then find somebody to install it. They can recommend the best equipment. They can source it for you. They can come out professionally install it. TVs, wireless speakers, internet, security and cameras, and you can control it from the touch of a button with a smart home system. IntegratedMediaInc.com.
This is Larry Leitner, owner and founder of Midstate Roofing, and for nearly 30 years, we've continued to be the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. Midstate Roofing's proven history is your assurance that our professionals at Midstate Roofing will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility in a manner both safe and pleasing to your operation. From high-rise to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial, Midstate Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that will keep your operation dry and running long into the future. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And this is Blake Leitner, reminding you to protect that roof with a maintenance contract. Call me today at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com.
You'll speak to an on-call technician after hours or a Midstate Roofing staff member during hours at 803-356-1919 or online at midstateroofing.com. And as always, tell them Midstate Twins.
If you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
Ad paid for by Adaptive Health. Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
I don't care how old or young you are. Life doesn't slow down for anyone. With Nugenix Total T2, the brand new testosterone and nitric oxide boosting formula, I'm keeping up with the kids and finally feeling like my old self again. Now, I've got enough in the tank for whatever life throws my way.
Text STREAK to 215-215 for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T2. STREAK to 215-215.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. If you or someone you care about is facing a family law issue, let us set up a 1-hour Cordell Consult. The Cordell Consult is a meeting with a local attorney who will give you clear guidance about your options, whether it's a separation, a postnuptial agreement, divorce, or custody. Visit CordellCordell.com.
1201 Main Street, Columbia.
If your lawnmower sat all winter, you're running out of time to get it ready for spring. Now for a limited time, Cato's Power Equipment is offering special spring service pricing with push-more tune-ups starting at $100 and zero-turn services starting as low as $200. Let Cato's get your equipment tuned up and ready for the mowing season ahead. Need help getting your mower to us? Pickup and delivery starts at just $50. Don't wait. Call or stop by Cato's Power Equipment today and get your mower ready before the grass takes over. Visit CatosPowerEquipment.com.
Are you considering a new roof or repairs but unsure where to start? Crescent Construction offers free roofing estimates to help you make informed decisions with ease. Our expert team is ready to assess your needs and provide comprehensive insights. Visit our website, CrescentCarolina.com, to learn more about our services and schedule your free estimate today. Trust us to guide you through the process with professionalism and care. Don't wait. Contact us today at CrescentCarolina.com.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh.
Well, we got to try to make sure that we set our pitching up to win the tournament. You know, I mean, that's going to be that's the main focus right now is we got to set that up. And we also got to find who are the 9 guys that we want to play. Like, who do we feel like are, you know, we've, for the most part, stayed fairly consistent with the guys who are running out there. But we got to make some decisions on, okay, what are we going to do with our lineup, the 9 guys, but also the batting order that we're going to put them in. I'm always trying to make small adjustments if I feel like we're not doing what we need to do offensively, but at some point, you know, these are the guys we're going to play. This is the order we're going to go with. Now go out and play.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris with you here on your Monday on the Game. That was Mining Lee after the third game of the series loss to LSU yesterday, talking about, you know, the SEC tournament kind of being the only hope and how you approach the rest of the season from there. And again, nobody doubts that Monty Lee is still going to be coaching as hard as he can. And these guys hope they're going to be playing as hard as they can over these next couple of weeks. But again, the fate just doesn't seem to be on their side at this point in time, barring some kind of miracle in Hoover, which I just don't see happening. And in a way, because again, Maneri left in the middle of March. So we've had basically a month and a half with Monty Lee at the helm. And I think it's given us enough data with him as the head man at South Carolina to say, okay, this is probably not the direction they're going to go as far as the head coach. And in a way, I feel like that's kind of a good thing, as opposed to, and I presented this to Jack earlier, let's say this past weekend, you know, Maneri's still the head coach. They go to LSU. They get swept by a bad LSU team. And today we're talking about Maneri being fired, resigned, whatever it may be. And then you get Monty Lee for the last 2 series of the regular season and whatever happens in Hoover, where it's a pretty small runway to really get a gauge of what he's like at the head of this program compared to basically the last 2 months of the regular season, where we've seen him at the helm. The guys have played better. The energy was better and all that kind of stuff, but the results haven't been there consistently enough to say, okay, we feel like Monty Lee's done a good enough job. Let's give him a go as a head coach. Again, we like Monty. Good guy, loves loves being here, wants to be here, great connections to the state, long history in the state, and all that kind of stuff. But I think we've seen enough at this point to say, okay, the next head coach is probably not going to be Monty Lee.
Yeah, and because of that timing that you mentioned, he did have an opportunity to make more of a stamp on this team than a guy that, like you said, if he had 2 series in Hoover, that's not a great sample size. And even then, that might not have been a quote-unquote fair shake because you would have been taking over later. You don't have as much time to put your stamp on the team. The results, a lot of times when you see, there are certainly examples of interim coaches taking over. Dabo Swinney's one, at Clemson, and it going very well. But generally an interim coach is an interim for a reason because it's in an interim and you're moving on to the next situation. Monty has had an opportunity, a longer runway. And, we were told very early, one of the, obviously the business that Wes and I are in trying to get info on coaching searches and things like that, very early we were all asking the question, okay, what are the traits South Carolina's going to be looking for in the next coach? Are there any early names to watch even though it's too early? And will Monty have a chance? And what we kind of got back was, look, he's going to have an opportunity to put his stamp on the team. He'll be considered out of fairness because you see what the interim coach does and you take that into consideration. But the results are what the results are, and if you just add it all up, and it's to say nothing of Monty or the kind of person, none of that. It's just what are the results, and the results point to what I thought. We all kind of left the door open. Well, let's see what happens. Who knows? But the results are pointing very much to, and they have been for a while, but as of late, it's driven it home even more. We're going to have a national coaching search, and it would be, I think at this point, Wes, is this fair, a shock if it wasn't somebody brand new at the helm with carte blanche to put in your program, turn this thing around, do whatever it takes. We'll back you, do what it takes.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way to me, man. And again, I firmly believe that if you had said, rather than hire Maneri, and you would have got some pushback then as well, but it wouldn't be as difficult. If you're just like, hey, Monty Lee is our guy, we think he's the best coach for the job, and you just hired him 2 years ago as opposed to now, you would have got some pushback, but I think it would have been manageable. Now, I think it would just be difficult to do. Even if you sat down and you listened to the plan and you were like, hey, he's just had a bad shake, he's the best guy for this job. How much do y'all think it is about just getting the best coach for the job, and how much of it is about re-energizing the fan base as well, and that being somebody they completely believe in and stuff like that? And I do think there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect, frankly, between kind of your former players, your kind of diehards who maybe are just baseball heads in this state and have known Monty for years and know that he's a sharp guy, that he's a good dude, that there's personal relationships there, versus your kind of grander, bigger branching out fan base is going to be hey, it hasn't worked to this point. We need completely fresh blood. You know what I'm saying? So I think all those things are factors, but yeah, I just think there's kind of been a connection to the past. Not that there was a direct connection with Kingston, but you had, some of your former coaches were still involved on that staff. Obviously, with Holbrook's staff, he was a former coach, and you basically tried to keep the rest of the staff intact. And so a lot of this kind of all just traces back to Ray Tanner, be it directly or from the fact, that Ray hired these guys. So I think there is a little bit of a sense just from the fan base of, yeah, let's wipe the slate clean and let's just see who is the best coach out there that the University of South Carolina can attract. And, I will say this, and I get it. This is very broad, and I feel like this gets said about every coaching search, but we have heard you would be a little bit surprised at some of the people who have at least had their people reach out and say, hey, what's going on with that job? Show some interest in that job. So, man, I don't know. I do think there's an interest from this fan base right now of, hey, can we start turning the page to that portion of all this?
And I think, to your point, Jeremiah Donati is not, Wes, we talk about the pre-MAD thing. Some people are already pre-MAD. I think it's a small group. They're pre-MAD thinking, Jeremiah Donati might feel pressure to keep my. And I don't mean this negatively. He will feel no pressure to do that. I'm very confident in that. He feels pressure to find a baseball coach that's going to win here, that no matter who it is, where he comes from. That doesn't mean we'll have to see whoever he hires, be it next season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons down the road, however long, we'll kind of know when we see it. People want to see progress, and that's how it will be measured. He's not going to feel any of that pressure. And if you don't believe me, there's evidence. I've told it, 10,000 times already. Gary Patterson has a statue at TCU, and JD said, it's probably time. And they were in the national title game in football the next year. So I'm not saying that's going to happen in baseball. He does not feel constrained by that. He's not been afraid to come in and implement some new things, bring in some new staff on his athletics department staff, shake up how some things are done, work on some major projects, some that were already, had the ball rolling. But he's been very forward-thinking on things. And you're right, Wes, we do hear that about most searches. And you can go ahead and chop off, any search at an SEC program. Some of it is agents reaching out and saying, my guy would be interested in that job. And then they run back to the school that they're at and say, hey, South Carolina's interested, so-and-so's interested, we're going to need a raise. There's some of that.
Yeah.
But this is also a really good job. We're not just pretending this is a good job. It's got a great fan base. It has history. It's an SEC job, best baseball conference in the country, I think. And also, you are going to have resources. That's going to be a huge selling point for Donati. This coming year in sports, and even going back to this offseason for baseball, the current offseason for basketball, the current offseason for football, going back to the transfer portal and recruiting window, nobody is going to be able to look with a straight face and say, the coaches didn't have financial resources to build a roster. That has been done. And that's going to be something that, frankly, coaches are going to ask those questions. And I know men's sports are not where anybody wants them to be. But a big part of that is, what do you have in place from a roster building standpoint? That's something that I think, frankly, was behind when Donati got here. There were some good pieces of infrastructure. There's Garnet. They do an incredible job. But from a university alignment standpoint, it wasn't always there. I think that's in place now. It's in a better spot. They're investing. And so there are a lot of things that will make this job attractive. Now it's about going out, finding who's the best guy to take those resources and turn them into a winner.
And I think a lot of people's maybe reservations with Donati's, because we haven't seen him have to make a big hire yet. And obviously he decided to retain Lamont Paris with the caveat that they were going to give him more resources in what's going to be essentially a make-or-break season coming up next year. So I think people just haven't seen him do it yet here on one of these major jobs. I think he hired a volleyball coach or something, if I remember correctly. But in terms of the sports that we pay the most attention to, we just haven't seen it yet to know which way he's going to go. But again, he's gotten plenty of time to do it, because again, the Maneri thing happened a month and a half ago. And yeah, you're not necessarily sit down interviewing people right now because they still have their seasons going on, but you got plenty of time to vet things out, create your list. So when these guys are becoming available to really have these deep conversations, you should have a good curated list ready to go to hopefully make this hire sometime around a month from now.
Yeah, and I think you're talking about somebody who TCU has been successful in baseball as well. You know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes you look at a coach and you're like, or an AD, and you're like, well, their background doesn't necessarily reflect on having a lot of knowledge in a certain sport, and you say they're going to have to kind of put the right people around them and reach out to the right people in order to get that done. And, I think with Donati coming in from TCU, you are talking about a place that, I still remember going back to when I got to go to Omaha to cover Carolina I think that was the 2010 year. TCU was there as well. Like, you're talking about, a traditionally very strong baseball program over the years too. So, I think South Carolina will be well positioned for a number of reasons. Some of it being not that you could just go out and hire your coach already, but to your point, Tyler, you could use this sort of runway to gather as much real information, not just background checks, but some background on which of these guys are truly interested and which of these guys will be wasting our time with.
Decision coming here soon. We'll discuss what happened with South Carolina's official visit weekend coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs on your Monday in the Game.
All my sports. The Game Network. 107.5 The Game in Columbia. 96.9 The Game in Charleston. 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. And 100.5 The Game in Florence.
We have a new way for you to call the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Just dial pound 250, and when prompted, punch in the keywords, the game. And that's it. Again, pound 250 with the keywords, the game.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses, or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000. Use code TRACK to borrow up to $10,000.
At Average House Furniture Warehouse, our sofas have cushions, our tables have 4 legs, our recliners recline. So come on by for a perfectly average experience.
Cumulus Digital doesn't stop at average. We work with more than 4,000 local businesses every month, delivering campaigns that beat industry averages by over 25%, driving real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
Shepherd's Glass has provided commercial, residential, and auto glass installation, repair, and replacement to Columbia for over 50 years. Large retail storefronts, auto, custom shower enclosures, and mirrors for that remodeling or new construction project. Visit shepherdsglass.com to see and learn more. Now with 2 locations on Platte Springs Road in West Columbia and Chapin at 855 Chapin Road. shepherdsglass.com.
Shepherd's Glass. Shepherd's Glass. A true reflection of quality.
Elijah Campbell here from The Game, here to tell you about Ecton Law Firm. If you've been having tax troubles that are bothering you or weighing you down, you don't need to let that happen any longer. Let the stresses of taxes be taken care of by the Ecton Law Firm. Set up a free consultation today at 803-771-9800. They have a local team resolving your income or business tax issues for good. At the Ecton Law Firm, they understand the challenges you or your business can face. And that's why John Ecton and his team are ready to offer you the peace of mind that you deserve. With proven local solutions, they have helped thousands of families and businesses just like yours escape the IRS maze. So take the first step to a worry-free life today by giving them a call, 803-771-9800, or visit EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Again, 803-771-9800. 9800.
At AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Call today to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA Comfort Club to take advantage of extras like flexible visits, added discounts, and priority scheduling. Visit callAAAtoday.com to schedule an appointment. Tell them Preston on The Game sent you.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Want to unlock the power of athlete marketing to grow your business? Garnet Trust has recently launched a business membership program, making it easier than ever for your business to work directly with a USC student athlete. Visit garnettrust.com today or call 803-250-1765 to see your business boom.
The Colonial Life Charity Classic is coming to the Wood Creek Club right here in Columbia, May 14th through the 17th. This is your chance to watch the next generation of PGA Tour stars up close. Before Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler were household names, they were right here on the Korn Ferry Tour. This is where the journey begins. Every shot bringing them closer to the PGA Tour. Tomorrow's champions are teeing it up today. Get your tickets now for the Colonial Life Charity Classic.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, West, and Chris rolling along with you on here on your Monday on the game. Can't speak correctly. It was a very busy weekend across Gamecock sports, including official visits when it came to football. We talked last week about the momentum building for the 2027 class. You've gotten a couple of commitments over the course of the last couple of days leading into the weekend. What went down this weekend, guys?
Loaded question, man. Yeah, big weekend for South Carolina. 11 official visitors is what it ended up being, final tally for the Gamecocks. And, you know, Chris, I think there's a lot of different guys that people want to hear about and we can talk about, but let's start with, obviously, how South Carolina started the weekend, and that being with a commitment, at least going public, Judah Lancaster from Brentwood, Tennessee, or at least he's at Brentwood Academy in Brentwood, Tennessee right now, originally from Arizona, 3-star tight end, number 32 tight end in his class for class of 2027, 3-star guy, had already kind of silently, verbally committed to South Carolina, went public with that commitment actually at 7 o'clock on Friday. So you were talking about really just kicking off your entire weekend with a public commitment. And, you know, a kid, I think, first of all, from what I've heard, you know, kind of just fits the mold of what you're looking for at that position. When I first pulled up his profile, when it looked like Carolina was going to land him, I think he was listed like 6'3", 210, and was kind of like a maybe more of an H-back style guy when you read that, when you hear that, but has grown since that. You know, is listed now 6'4", 230, and actually measured in this weekend 6'4", 236. So you're talking about somebody who's put on some good weight, continues to get taller, and I think has some balance in what he can bring you as a tight end. Has some toughness, has some blocking ability, but also is going to go out there and, you know, can catch passes for you and kind of be that athletic mismatch that you want to have in your tight end. Has bounced around a little bit, was at IMG last season. Didn't put up huge numbers there, but I think is a guy who's kind of shown, at least if you watch what film is out there, that he has the ability to go do some various things, some versatile things at that tight end spot.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina wanted to come away with a tight end from the high school ranks in this class, and so that fills that need. A guy, statistically, you know, if you're going back and saying, well, what has he done? You know, played at IMG, which is always loaded with talent. So, and they ran the ball a good bit. So he didn't catch, 60 passes as a tight end or anything. But when you look at the measurables and the skill set, there's some things there to like, I think. And so he had committed before the weekend, obviously, and then Jerry Meyer III, South Carolina's quarterback commitment out of Texas, also on campus. But 9 of the other guys who were on campus were uncommitted. So, the calendar this year is such that this is the West's first big weekend, and it's in May, and then the others are in June. So we'll have a little bit of a time period where there's not other official visits going on until 3 more that are in the month of June. But this was nonetheless an important one because for a lot of these guys, this was the first official visit. You don't have to get the last visit nowadays to win out. Wes, don't you have the theory that it's good to be first or last, not really in the middle?
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. Not that you can't land guys if you're in that middle part, but a chance to set a high bar for certain guys. And there are some players that I think Carolina came into the weekend leading for. There are some guys that they needed to make a move for. And so one big one, Wes, is Fred Ards, the 4-star edge, top 80, top 75-ish player on the Rivals industry ranking. And competition here is significant. He's from Orlando. This is a guy that has, we saw him at camp last summer in Columbia. He's got a big upside. He's got a frame that can put on a lot more weight while retaining, his athletic measurables that are really good. And, Carolina's losing. Dylan Stewart's coming off the books after this coming year. And so it's I think Portal will be probably a spot to watch this offseason, but they want to stock some young talent at the edge position, too, for Deion Barnes. Competition here is significant. Texas A&M's in there, Florida's in there, but the Gamecocks have had some positive buzz, too, and it seems like this weekend went really well for him.
So, reading are you guys right up with this? Again, 11 guys come in, and you get a chance to at least talk to most of them to get their feel on the weekend, and very rarely I feel like will you have somebody that, says something overly negative about a in-person visit over a weekend. But how do you guys, and I feel like I ask you guys this a lot with this kind of stuff, how do you guys differentiate between these guys just saying stuff because they're here and actually getting a gauge on how good the visit went and where Carolina stands with these guys coming away from a weekend?
Yeah, I think that's, and first of all, if you're listening, you want to come read all the details on all this, come check us out on Gamecock Central. Just $1 for 3 months right now, so we got a special going on. But I think a lot of that is how that's where you start to rely on other people, I think, man. Like sometimes the kids themselves will give you kind of the details you're looking for. Sometimes they'll tell you on the record. Sometimes they'll tell you off the record, like, hey, it's going to be tough for South Carolina to be beat at this point. Like they'll kind of give you that and say, don't quite quote me on this. Other times it's where you kind of rely on everybody else, whether that's people inside the program, whether that's people, on the national team we have over at On 3 and Rivals, or whether it is people, maybe a parent or something gives you a little tidbit here or there. So I think these visits are all about gathering as much information as you can, but the real trick is sorting through it all and trying to give people at least a little bit, not a final tally of where things are, but a current tally of where things are, because there's a lot of different factors. One of the factors, too, can be, well, maybe a player has South Carolina out front, but where does South Carolina have them on their board? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's more about sorting through, like, hey, this guy probably wants to go to South Carolina, but maybe there's 3 guys ahead of them at that position. So maybe you don't go too far into pointing out the chances of that player ending up in Columbia, because it may be a situation where somebody else takes that spot. So there's a lot of variables to sort through.
Again, you can read all that on GamecockCentral.com on how everything went for the first official visit weekend for 2027 this past weekend here in Columbia. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour. How do we do on our weekend buy or sell? Check that coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game.
Wow, what a play! The Game Network. Columbia, Charleston, Florence, and Myrtle Beach.
Hey, this is Jen from 107.5 The Game and The Game Network. If you run a diner, a bakery, a coffee shop, burger joint, or a pizza spot, or that hidden gem everybody should know about, how would you like to get the word out about your business without spending a dime? We got you. All you have to do is text your name, your business, and your phone number to 803-404-6100, and we'll be in touch. There's no catch. Times are tough, and we're here just trying to help you get folks in the door of your business.
This is a Westwood One Sports Minute.
There is zero excuse for the New York Knicks to not make the NBA Finals this year. They are the best team left standing in the Eastern Conference, with Boston eliminated over the weekend by the Philadelphia 76ers. And Philly is firing on all cylinders. The Knicks are better. The Knicks are better than the Cavs. The Knicks are better than the Pistons. And if the Knicks don't get to the NBA Finals, Mike Brown's got to go, and Giannis Antetokounmpo needs to be wearing orange and blue next season at the Garden. I'm Nick Costos.
I checked Allstate first and saved hundreds on my car insurance. Really smart. Unfortunately, I didn't check if I took the gas hose out of my car's tank. Ooh, not Smart. And I drove off while still attached to pump number 3.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Potential savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois. This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
It's your captain speaking. To the passenger with the Mirror Fast Soft Chews, smart move.
No way am I letting travel constipation ruin this trip.
Can't blame you. Mirror Fast works fast, but without the harsh side effects.
Since I'm such a smart traveler, can I move to first class?
No. Close the curtain, girl.
From the makers of Miralax, new Mirafast soft chews work naturally with your body in as little as 30 minutes to give you a comfortable go on the go. Find Mirafast today at your local retailer. Use as directed for occasional constipation. Contains magnesium hydroxide.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
It's your captain speaking. To the passenger with the Mirror Fast Soft Chews, smart move.
No way am I letting travel constipation ruin this trip.
Can't blame you. Mirror Fast works fast, but without the harsh side effects.
Since I'm such a smart traveler, can I move to first class?
No. Close the curtain, girl.
From the makers of Miralax, new Mirafast soft chews work naturally with your body in as little as 30 minutes to give you a comfortable go on the go. Find Mirafast today at your local retailer. Use as directed for occasional constipation. Contains magnesium hydroxide.
The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West, Chris along with you here on your Monday on the Game, recapping the entire weekend for Gamecock sports. Quick reminder, Gamecock baseball back in action this upcoming weekend as they take on Alabama over at Founders Park, which will be your next opportunity to win the Crescent Construction Grand Slam contest. Gamecock hitter goes yard. With the bases loaded, you can win all the money in the pot. We just gave away like $600 a couple weeks ago with this contest, so still an opportunity to win some money before the season does come to an end. Go to 1075thegame.com and enter to win, if you've not already, for the Crescent Construction Grand Slam contest. I'll go ahead and congratulate Wes on winning buy or sell over the weekend. Got 2 of the 4 questions right. Chris, you got 1 right. I also got 1 right. So not a great weekend overall, as we missed on quite a few of these, to say the least. Starting with the first question for Gamecock baseball, which was LSU led the league in wild pitches. Carolina would score off a wild pitch in each and every game. They did 1, I believe in game number 2. Of course, you scored no runs in game number 3, so that certainly didn't help out the cause there. So you two both got that question right.
I was about to say.
Now, there were a lot of wild pitches. Like, you could see if you watched enough of the series this weekend, LSU did have trouble keeping it around the plate. Carolina just unfortunately couldn't capitalize off that enough.
That was the key question. You know, we talked about going in. Like, if you can manage that and take advantage of it, or if you're not putting together quality at bats, if you're swinging it out of the, that's so it went the opposite way for them.
Unfortunately. Things also went the opposite way for Gamecock softball as they got swept by Alabama this past weekend. We did adjust this question based on the challenge on Friday. The question was, would Tori Inslee have at least one homer the remainder of the weekend? They'd played game number 1 on Thursday. Unfortunately, she did not. She has no home runs on the weekend, and unfortunately, again, Gamecock softball falls to Alabama to wrap up the regular season. Still in a good position. They'll be in the postseason. The SEC tournament starts tomorrow, so they can possibly improve their seeding a little bit, but no question they'll be in the tournament coming up here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, they're pretty much locked into it, too. It's just a matter of where do they end up. And, I think pretty much locked into it, too, and probably being not very close to here, basically, because you're not going to get sent to an SEC school. So I was looking at some of the other projected teams, like where you could be. I mean, South Carolina traditionally has gone to Florida State quite a bit. That may actually be the closest potential landing spot, but most of the projections I've seen are more about South Carolina being either all the way out west, like a UCLA and Oregon, or maybe being at Texas Tech potentially. So not going to be I don't. Unless they just won the whole thing, it seems like they're a 2 seed, and there's really nothing in either direction they can do at this point to change that, I would think. So 2 seed on the road, but I still say this is a team that going to a non-SEC opponent, I don't know if you want to see the Gamecocks on your schedule because they lost, again, they got swept, but 3 just absolute tight softball games. They keep having these one-run games, but Alabama, right up to the final day of the regular season, was in the running to win the SEC. So that was a loaded Alabama team, probably one of the best defensive teams I've seen South Carolina play all year long as an opponent. So, yeah, I don't know if people are going to be excited to see the Gamecocks on the other side.
You mentioned 2 of the teams you just mentioned, Wes, possibilities. Carolina played out in California this year, Oregon and UCLA, 2 more one-run losses. So this is still a dangerous team, and they play in. I mean, you look at South Carolina's record. The fact that they play in the SEC is why they have that record. This is a good team that's still a tournament team that's had a bunch of close losses and plays in an absolute monster of a softball conference.
And was the UCLA game, I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to say they had that game won, but they were in a position to win that game.
Yeah.
But even some of the out-of-conference teams that you put on your schedule, maybe knowing they were going to be good, but not quite aware of how good they may be. Duke, number 11 in the country. Virginia Tech. Remember Virginia Tech coming in here and stealing a couple of games from Carolina? They're 18th in the country. They've won 44 games this year. So, I mean, it has been a gauntlet for sure. But I think they're going to be right there regardless of their opponent. Like, they're going to be able to match up with them. It's just a matter of can they pull out, a win.
So we, unfortunately, none of us got that right for Tori Inslee. Elsewhere for former Gamecocks now, we looked at the NBA playoffs. Colin Murray-Boyles in game number 6. Would he have a double-double as the Raptors were facing elimination? He did not. He had 17 points and 7 rebounds. However, the Raptors did hit the buzzer beater to win that game, force a game 7. They did end up coming up short in game number 7 yesterday, but a really impressive playoff debut for Colin Murray-Boyles, averaging just over 14 points, grabbing just over 6 rebounds per game, and shooting very efficiently 65% from the field for his first 7 games in the NBA playoffs of his career.
Yeah, I was going to say, we may not have hit the exact metric for that, but CMB obviously took he made a very, very good case for himself, especially for people who maybe had not heard of him, who are more nationally, had not seen him play. Just an awesome debut for him.
Yeah, had a really nice dunk. Didn't win Game 7, as you said, Tyler. Had a great dunk. Showed what he can do. He's out there guarding people on the three-point line, making big plays. So, great debut for him. Looking forward to continuing to follow his career because I think there's a lot more room, for him to get better as a young player.
And final one, by the way, we all bought and got that one wrong. Final one Renegade was the 4-1 favorite going into the Kentucky Derby, though he had post number 1, which had not won since 1986. Would Renegade buck the trend? Chris, you bought on that, and unfortunately, we're not correct, as Golden Tempo edged out Renegade there, and what was a pretty thrilling race. Went from last to first in the final quarter mile to win the Kentucky Derby.
That was incredible. Wes, did you see that live, or did you catch up with it later?
Yeah,
I was watching it live, and I mean, it was all over the place. And I love the overhead view when there's like a really exciting race. You'd see the overhead view with the call. Dude was way behind, no chance, and just came storming. And the jockey did. I mean, my daughters are like, well, what? Why are they talking about the jockey? I'm like, he's very important too. So he made some great plays there, some great moves, in the course of that race. And it was just so funny afterwards because, everybody's going crazy, and the horse is just like, yeah, what is it time to eat yet?
Yeah, it's like, what did I do? Why are you putting this thing on me? And Cherie DeVoe, his trainer, first ever female trainer to win the Kentucky Derby, was like, yeah, we kind of expect him to be in last until that last little kick there.
He had been last or second last in every race.
It worked out perfectly.
By the way, happy birthday to Dawn Staley. Don't know if she's listening or not, but
happy birthday, Dawn Staley,
the GOAT.
May the 4th be with you.
She listens sometimes. So.
Yes, she does.
Shout out, Coach.
Happy birthday, Coach.
That'll do it for the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Halftime show up next on your Monday here on the game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for AAA Heating and Air. Every homeowner's dream is a house that cleans itself, right? Well, we might not be able to do that, but what if you could clean your air without lifting a finger, even when you're sleeping? AAA Heating and Air offers indoor air quality products that do just that. These products work with your HVAC system to improve your home's air quality. Cleaning the air eliminates common household odors, removes allergens and pollutants, and can even improve sleep and reduce the spread of some viruses. And remember, at AAA Heating and Air, home comfort is their top priority. Call today to schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Let AAA Heating and Air's qualified technicians put your mind at ease with a thorough inspection and cleaning of your heating and cooling system. Join their popular AAA